number 3.
It is 1:01. We're back in session. Recess.
Chris may want to start with an overview of some of the things that we talked about over the last couple of weeks.
Did you have a good lunch, Chris?
It was great. How about yours?
Oh, it was awesome. It was
Awesome.
food. So. All right. Take it away, whoever wants to here. If you want to do a review while we're waiting on somebody to come in, and they thought maybe you'd found a few things that might make us happy.
Sure. And I will, I'll share my screen. I think Ashley emailed this to you yesterday. Do you see the, here, let me see if I can, how's that look?
Bigger.
You can blow it up. That'd be awesome.
How about that?
That's better. I can see it, but I'm pretty close.
Oh, here, let me, all right.
Well, nothing else. Well,
Whoa.
there you go. That's better.
All right, it's big, but it's better. There we go. All right. So similar to what we talked about last time, we took all of the changes from the last couple of meetings and we incorporated it to this high level. So we talk about the levy limit, the sales tax you see increased to 1.25 million instead of the 1.2, a few other things, but to get down to the number that we're talking about is we have the overage of that 1.7 million, the use from general fund, which is the fund balance set at the fiscal 25 level. So the amount in the current year budget that was planned on being used. So we have the current gap to fill of 494,000. The last time you looked at that, that was 700 plus thousand. And what we did, I need to shrink this down a little bit so everything fits on the screen. We had a meeting with HHS and we dove into the Winnebago line based on their budget request for fiscal 26. And I know that we talked about this at the last meeting as well. But after talking with the staff there, we feel comfortable reducing that line from 550,000 to 300,000, with the idea of trying to create a fund balance, which there was a resolution that we read through that's in existence that touches on this. But trying to establish some sort of fund balance there so when the costs run higher. So as we talked about this morning in the meeting about how there were the 5 unidentified cases and then one person who had a long-term stay there, and it sounds like the staff worked through that. The 300,000, the idea there is to set it at that budget and then try to, keep it consistent with the budget. But if there's a savings for that year, basically bank it. And so if there are similar instances that occur in fiscal 25, to draw from those dollars. And so we're not creating this worst case budget. We're creating a budget line here that is realistic, but we all know that with a budget, it could be way over, it could be way under, but staff felt that this was a good number for fiscal 26. So Sky, Tanya, Ashley, is there anything you want to add or is there anything I missed?
After these changes, Chris, the gap after everything you just discussed will be 494 and change.
Correct. And so we factored that in already because we got a buy-in from the department. There was a consensus that we would then make that change, and that is included here. And so The gap now is 494,752. So that was the first big item we wanted to talk about, because we had a list of items and we, talked through with some of the department staff, but that was the big one. I think I may want to just go to that list there under further budget discussion. So there were 5 other items that we highlighted that we wanted to talk about to kick off this meeting. So first of all, we received from the state the fiscal 26 sales tax estimate. They have it set at 1,493,690, which is the low end of their range. Now their range is only, I think it was like 15 or 20,000. So the high end for fiscal 26 would be a little over 1.5 million. We have it set right now at 1.25 million. And I think that everybody at the last meeting was comfortable with that 1.25 million. I just wanted to highlight this because the state has the estimate at about 243,000 higher than what the fiscal 26 estimate is set at. So, my initial thought was, is 1.3 million still conservative enough, or does the committee want to keep it at that 1.25 million?
Have you looked at history?
So, yeah,
Or
and
does-
so if we go back to that sales tax report, and let me find it real fast.
I think we looked at it last one. I just don't remember.
Yeah, we looked at it this morning. We talked about the current trend, and let me try to blow that up again. So in looking at the 4-year average, for fiscal 25, if we compare it to the 4-year average, we're on pace. And what this does is this assumes actual for the first 6 months. And then the projection of this number is that we would hit each one of these months for the rest of the year. That would put us at about 1.35 million for fiscal 25. You see the last few years, fiscal 21 is 1.19, then it ticked up to 1.242. 23 was a huge jump of about 9% at that 1.35 million. 24 is that it went up even more, not a lot, but still went up to 1.374 million. And currently, as compared to last year, Rusk County's up about 9% over last year. That's what we talked about this morning. So the 4-year average is at 1.289 million. And so again, if you extrapolate this out and meet the target, and not even meet these targets, you should be at about 1.35 million for fiscal 25.
And that's probably just due to not necessarily more goods purchased within the county, just the cost of goods just went up probably.
Yeah, I've not looked at the specifics to why the sales tax has gone up, but I mean, see, like we came out of COVID, so in 21 we were at that 1.2, and then it really started to increase from there. I'm not sure if the state sends that specific of information of why, but historically speaking, these are the numbers. Now, that's not to say, and I know we talked about this last time, that there could be a recession or there could be a pullback. It's just we just never know when that is. Is it going to be 26, 27, 28? But when the state sent that estimate, that's what I wanted to share, because I'm not sure if other counties in the state of Wisconsin set their sales tax estimate to the state estimate, or if they do what you all do and look at the history, look at what they're sending, and then come up with a good number.
So what is the risk if we maintain the more conservative number and come in underneath
Sure.
the state
So
assessment?
so what the risk is that we go back to this gap. If we want to be consistent with last year and use the 1.24 million of fund balance from last year, our gap that we need to close for fiscal 26 is $494,000 right now. There's a few other items on this list, but the risk of being overly conservative is it gets back to then we have to reduce it from other departments, from other places, and there could be cuts that are enacted that could have been prevented by having still a conservative estimate, but an estimate that is extremely realistic. Like this estimate isn't like, oh, well, let's just set it at 1.7 million because then we don't have to cut anything and we can move along. There's still good data to back up the 1.3 million, say the 1.25 million is good and that's conservative. I just wanted to share this information if the committee feels comfortable in going to that 1.3 million, then that gap would then be reduced, by $50,000 more. But it's again, as I said, it's something that I wanted to bring up to talk through with all of you because the state estimate is substantially higher.
And then, so the 330,000 you had up there for highway, was that public works last year that we highway was able to cut?
Yeah, and so if we go back to the highlights that I had, that I think we talked about this at our first meeting, but I was calling out the major changes in the budget for fiscal 26, and the 330,000 in public works was reduced in the 25 budget, which was restored in the 26 budget. That is one of our 5 items to discuss as well, if we want to jump to that, or Sky, do you have anything to add there?
So 330,000 is the overall increase to the highway budget. I think it was about 250,000 that's related to what we got from the 25 budget that was put back in. Then, the increases in admin for contracted services and such are that 330,000.
So speaking of highway, we had a discussion last month about funding the plan, right?
Last.
CO bond,
Yep.
and we never really finalized that, did we? I mean, we left that
No,
open.
we just had a discussion.
Would that be to our benefit, Chris? Are you up to speed on that? Is that a good thing to do, or would that help us in the long run here?
I'm honestly not up to speed on that. That's something that I would probably want to talk with staff about and kind of look at the numbers and that. I do know that you have a lot of projects that that you may bond for. There's also a discussion about the potential for bonding for equipment. So I don't want to speak on that because I don't have all the information.
Thing of it is, if you bond for equipment on at highway, just for example, and I'm sure there's other equipment that's purchased throughout the county, then what would that do in that department? That excess money would just come back to levy? Because right now, highway pretty much buys their equipment. Pretty sure this year going forward, and on being self-sustaining out of the equipment fund. So I think the only way you're gonna come ahead there is if you rob Peter to pay Paul, so to speak.
That's kind of what we have done in the past, where we have bonded for, a plow truck and then just reduce the levy in the highway budget. So that that money can actually be used in other budgets. So they get the bond proceeds for that truck and then just, short the levy. So then the money is still coming out of their equipment fund. There's still, highways still financing that piece of equipment, but we're using it to bond. I've done that in the past.
I guess the
And-
question is, that gonna help us in the situation we're in now, going into 26?
It really depends on our future bonding. Where we're going with, the jail and highway buildings. We can't really make many decisions about, what we're gonna bond for until we have a decision on that.
Yeah, and if I can touch on that, that's number 4 on the list. I know at the last meeting, we talked about trying to get to a level debt service. I know that Ashley talked about there's an agenda item to talk about bonding for the jail. And I'm not sure if it's a new city hall or if it's a new highway building, but I think there can't be a decision on this number 4 until we understand what the what the debt limit is going to be going forward. So in other words, if those projects are then approved and we're going to issue bonds on it, then I don't think it would be a good idea to bond for equipment because you're already going to have that spoken for. But on the flip side, if there's a deferral and we think we're going to do it maybe in a year or two, and our debt service drops from fiscal 25 to fiscal 26, again, it's nice to try to have a consistent level of debt service. So that's why that idea came up to bond for equipment.
Well, and just being, we're talking about highway, I know highway trouble fell way behind on equipment purchases due to budget constraints over the years, and I'm just touching on this because I'm on there, but we did have discussion at the last meeting that the thing when we purchase trucks and equipment, it can take close to a year before we see them actually pull in the yard. And I brought it up at last meeting. I said, there's nothing scheduled to order again here going forward. So there's no money to bond for it, but I'm like, we almost need to start the process and get some bids, or we're gonna be another year behind then if we don't keep equipment somewhat coming.
Yeah, we should.
So I don't know if that would be a bond. I don't know what the right answer here is. That's kind of why I'm, and there's some other that probably certain things too, but.
Yeah, those are all good points, and that's why this is on here for more of a discussion than a direction. I think that it's bonding is always a puzzle, and the more pieces you get to that puzzle, the easier it gets. So I think the next step in the discussion is the capital plan and what is that plan going forward over the next couple of years. Then we can look at what that debt service level is going to be and see if there's an opportunity to help save the levy and bond for equipment while that is being bonded for the larger projects.
And the 3 million that highway's doing now every other year. We just had a presentation at the last highway that's not keeping up with their county roads. He can scrimp it by, but number I saw was make it better to not, we're falling behind now on our road ratings. Because some of the road ratings that were used in the past maybe weren't as accurate as what was presented to the board. And I think he's leaning more towards 3.5 or so the other year. Would probably put him in a better position to at least, because highway's looking at being on a plan. A plan to spend this much and do these roads every year to get back on pace. But then again, you're gonna be, yeah, I wasn't including any equipment. That was hoping highway could pull that out of equipment fund, but there's no way you're gonna pull $350,000 trucks out of equipment fund on a consistent basis. Just food for thought. I'm not sure what the right, we're asking Mr. Kern to put something together and hopefully he's gonna be coming to like, mention it to him maybe this coming meeting, but I don't know if he was ready for that. Probably the October meeting. Board meeting, him and Justin, we're gonna come in and kind of show that plan.
I think October, he's planning on presenting to highway on equipment too, and so it'd probably be better.
Putting together a really nice book.
Yeah, to do both of those maybe together.
I mean, it's,
They kind of go.
highways always winged it, and highways takes a lot of money to run, but highways always winged it, and he's putting together a nice plan that hopefully if it is done correctly, the county can follow it. At least know where we're going next year and the year after.
Yeah, the capital plan, especially for highway, for safety equipment, those are two big issues because those normally define a lot of your capital budget. So it's good to hear that they're gonna put that together because it's all about how many lane miles can be paved to keep up with that PCI, the index there. I mean, it's very important. And then when we get in budget crunch, these are the ideas that come up. Can we bond for additional equipment? And that should be answered by that long-term capital plan. Do we have space to maybe bond for additional equipment or not? So again, it's that puzzle, and that's once again another piece to it. So I think that once we learn about that, then we can come back to this. The only issue is the time crunch, because I know that you want to be balanced. So this is an idea, but this may not be an idea for fiscal 26, say. And then one last thing I'll say is just to remind everybody about that concept of the level debt service, because I know that we're going to drop off in fiscal 26. So if there is a way due to the timing to maybe try to level that out, that's always a good idea too. So I've got I'm going to go backwards and go to number 3. And Sky, please help me with this. But I know that we talked through, I think it's rut paving, and due to that large paving project in fiscal 26, that expense was restored in the fiscal 26 budget. But there's discussion, and I think a comfort with shifting 100,000 of those dollars out to fiscal 27. So as Sky said, there was $250,000 that was specifically cut in 25, restored for the fiscal 26 budget. We would actually, with this proposal, only restore 150,000. So not restore the full 250. The one caveat is that highway does request to have access to the $47,000 that we looked at the last meeting, the state trust loan fund, to fund any allowable expenditures in fiscal 26 if the need arises. So I think they just want the flexibility there. And Sky, please add anything that I misspoke on or missed.
Well, that sounded good.
Oh, all right. So then if this change is made, then the gap above here would then be reduced from 494,000 to 394,000. And we're all in agreement that we should make that change. I mean, at least administration is.
Yeah, if highway's good with it, then by all means.
Okay.
Is that the consensus here, gentlemen?
Yeah,
Any questions on it?
What'd you say that brings us to?
Well, it dropped from 494, drop 100 off it.
To 394.
That's good. Did we decide on the sales tax?
No, we didn't decide on the sales tax because I drug Chris out in the weeds.
Yeah, I'd rather talk about this anyway. I think because we know that we can reduce the sales tax, we should keep that in the forefront of our mind as we move on to more difficult discussions. You know what I mean? Like,
I think and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, I think, okay, worst case scenario, either we are gonna end up possibly, like he said, either cutting or adding more from general fund. So we could take the 50 now off his projection, and I guess if we fall short later on by 10 or something, then we're gonna be digging back in or somewhere to pull it back out, but I guess at least it sits there for the end of the year.
yeah, I mean, and how I feel about that is moving in and out of the, you know, the state tax estimate is really kind of more of a paper balancing issue here. So like it could be 50,000, or we could even argue for 100,000, right? If we get very close to something else, then that would, you know, it would be more, you know, it's a paper effect as far as I'm concerned. It's not a real effect on our.
And to his point, by the sounds of it, from what I heard last meeting, we've had a tendency to always budget on the conservative side instead of putting the pencil to the paper.
Yeah, especially
And
for,
a lot of it comes back then at the end of the year, so in cases where we've over budgeted. So I think the point, if I'm following Chris correctly here, is try to be a little more spot on. Yeah, we might not have that rollover at the end of the year or as much, but then we're not gonna have to pull, maybe, I guess if I'm following him correctly here, as much now.
Well, if I can add yes and no, we still want to be conservative. Like I would not think that, oh, well, the state says 1.493 million. Let's just set it at that. We have historical data. We want to be conservative, but even at that 1.3 million, which has been exceeded the last, I think, 3 or 4 years, I'd have to go back on my chart there. I mean, that 1.3 million is still, you know, in my mind, when I look at the number, still a very conservative number that unless there's a major event in fiscal 26, that should be achieved with ease.
Right, and I'm with you on that, yeah.
Yeah, but
I like to be conservative too.
Yeah, I've got no problem. If we want to raise it to 1.3 or even 1.35, if you guys are comfortable with that, I'm okay. I don't
I don't know if I want to go past 1.3. That's 100 from what we originally started at. Is
1.3 is pretty good.
Yeah, so let's,
But if we get $10,000 short at the end, we can.
well, that's what I'm saying is like really like this is at least from the conversation that I'm catching the most flexible number that we may have in the budget, right? And so like for me, I'm thinking, you know, if we save that towards the end and we know that we still have like a $60,000 gap, we can then decide to go, well, we're at 1.31 and are we comfortable with that? Something along those lines. And I could be, you know, I could be off the mark a little, but
or should we do it on almost like a percentage? Well, of course, what was the percentage again, Chris, that they thought we were gonna increase from the projection from 20 for
What
26? Was there like a percentage there next to it that they thought?
well, that was mine.
That was just your
Yeah,
estimate there?
Yeah,
Based off of their
these
numbers?
are all, yeah, these are all based on actuals, all these here. And so you see the last time we were at, so we went 1.2, 1.25, 1.35, 1.375. Here, even if there's no increase the rest of the year, you're at 1.348. So 135. So that's why, I mean, 1.3, I think, I mean, if I was in your chair, I think 1.3 would be most comfortable. And then to the board member's point is that if we're within, $10,000, I mean, we can, tweak that a bit. But I believe after looking at these numbers that the 1.3 million is the way to go for this exercise.
I'd follow Chris's advice then. I have no problem with
I
that.
agree. So then we can take another 50 off that 394.
Yeah.
344.
So we're at 344. And then we have another large change as well. I'm kind of going backwards. Well, we were on number one there. So number two is investment income. And I had a typo in what was emailed out to you. The fiscal 26 estimate is 350,000. In that document, I accidentally had 250. It's because I did something with HHS and I changed the wrong number. But anyway, the investment income is 350,000. The projected amount for fiscal 25 is currently $500,000. So we talked with the treasurer last week about this, and then Sky followed up with the treasurer. And long story short, she believes that this fiscal 26 estimate will be 500,000 based on her investments, and 350,000 was too low. Sky, do you want to add to that because you had the conversation with her?
We just looked at her investments she had, and based on the interest rates she's already locked into, she realized that the investment income should be higher for 26 because there's a lot of them that mature in 26. So she actually initially came back to me with a much higher number, but we kind of discussed it a little bit and went with a more conservative number of 500,000. And I do believe that the 25 projection will hit. I changed that also to 600,000. It's going to surpass 500. We're almost to 500 as of August. So then it makes that 26 projection, more in line if interest rates do come down some.
But we feel confident. So she came in with a higher number. We went conservative and said, if we run a flat 500,000 instead of 350,000, that would include some margin of safety.
Mhm.
So that would be then another net 150.
Mhm.
I like Missy's numbers. I don't know how I would challenge that otherwise.
We're at 194.
Correct. And then the last item is what we talked about at the last meeting, and I know that you all talked about that as you did the fiscal 25 budget, which is eliminate or freeze positions. I think that positions get frozen, and I know we talked about this in length, but the vacant positions are funded at the family plan, so any permanent freeze would result in a budget savings of the salaries plus the benefits. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sky and Tanya, we did go through the vacant positions and we were pretty hard pressed to find a couple of them, but I know that there was talk in staffing and restructuring in an department or two, the ability to possibly freeze a position. Was that, and I'm sorry, there's been a lot of meetings between the first one and now. Was that a talk within the committee, or I think that may have just been a staff discussion, correct?
I think it
I'm-
was
I'm-
a staff,
Okay,
discussion.
okay, because we did, I think Ashley sent out the list of vacant positions to the committee for the last meeting, correct?
Did we send that out or just discuss it verbally?
I don't remember
Oh,
seeing
I,
it.
okay, yeah, so I think
would
that
have been-
maybe,
It would have been like Ashley's report that she gave at the last HR meeting, what's currently vacant, like it was a jailer or two,
that's right, that's right.
zoning, highway commissioner, patrol soup.
So, yeah, and Ashley, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there because the camera didn't pan over there, but I'm not sure if you want to add anything to this one.
So is that something we need to go through and make a recommendation to personnel, or is this something we should take to county board when we do this on the 30th here? Anybody have thoughts? Say, here's the open positions that are currently available. And I don't know.
What's the idea of last year that personnel was supposed to be looking at these throughout the whole year and attritioning positions?
And they did.
And did not, right?
So the professional recommendation that you're gonna get at this point from myself and from the human resources manager is that the open positions right now are not ideal for freezing.
Not gonna do without a highway commissioner, and if the jail's short, you're just gonna pay overtime, so it's gonna cost us more money.
We have a, a zoning administrator, a highway worker. We can't plow all of our routes. I mean, unfortunately, the positions that are currently vacant are not what
Should have been done earlier in the year.
So the gap is 194, 752.
So my gap is slightly different. The treasurer also asked to increase her, conventions or travel line. That she's doing, a few meetings a year this year, and she's already expected she's gonna be over budget on that line this year, so she did increase that to 2,200. So what I have right now, and I'm not sure, must be a little bit different somewhere. I don't remember where it came from, but 197, 675.
Does that include the economic development head we just approved?
that's funded out of the mining fund.
Okay,
That doesn't.
so it's not germane. Not relevant.
I'm not sure how.
And what did the wage increases come to if we do the 3% that are budgeted in, Chris? You had that up there somewhere, I saw.
Sure, the COLA for general employees is included in the budget, and that amount is 153,000 after we reduce for the reimbursement. So like HHS staff get a lot of that reimbursed, and so the net impact is 150,000.
Oh, that's better than, because I think
Yeah, initially,
like 230, right?
it was like 238, but we were doing gross. We hadn't accounted for the reimbursements. We get, like Chris said, a lot of HHS, forestry has some reimbursement. So now that's
Still
all.
with benefit, there, I mean, that's if, extra tax that gets paid in and all that.
Yes, Guy had that all included.
But it doesn't include ambulance.
No,
But ambulance-
ambulance goes above the levy limit.
Okay, so it doesn't, also not relevant. Okay.
Well,
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
It's relevant, but
yeah,
not.
because it's still on the taxpayer, but yes,
Still levy.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to zone in on all this.
Yes, so it will not impact our gap that we have. It won't, that.
Well, I feel better about giving the raises now that we're down to 197,000. Cause that is what it budgeted already.
Yep.
So.
The truth is, yeah, they deserve raises.
so just gonna go back. bonding plant, what rough impact would that have on highway and the levy? Do we really, is there any?
There's not gonna be any impact to, highways levy. It's internal.
But would that free them up? Use proceeds off the plant purchase equipment? Used for that.
This is for paying back the proceeds we already received for the plan. What it'll do, it'll just move to the debt service.
So the highway's still gonna make that payment out of their budget, is what you're saying? No, it could go on the,
It would, yeah, it'll go to debt service and then go on to the taxpayers.
but how do we, okay, here, I'm getting lost on this one, sorry.
Yeah.
Then how do we make the payment now?
It comes out of, yes, it comes out of an internal fund within the highway department, the Blacktop Plant Fund. It was meant to be paid back with revenue that was generated from using the plant. But now that we're not using the plant and generating that revenue, we're just digging ourselves into a hole. So
But then if we take the government obligation bond, then shouldn't, when we
That'll-
make money off the plant, it should go back into the highway? If we were to make blacktop?
I don't think that we would change it back.
Okay.
Once we change it to general obligation debt, it'll stay there. But if we do decide to run the plant, it's not looking good for the, the next couple of years. The revenue that's generated could be used to, dig us out of the hole that has been created in that fund, so.
Okay, so just go to that, okay. Did we adjust the maintenance budget? For what was put in there for a skid steer?
It's still in there.
That was the buy versus rent.
Yeah, we
Sure.
discussed
Good here.
it, but no, there was no decision.
We didn't finalize it. We were waiting for you. We wanted you to be the bad guy.
I'll be the bad guy there. And it's because I firmly believe in renting versus buying large equipment. Just
Well, in most cases, they should be able to rent from highway in most cases, and then it comes back to us in a sense.
reduces all of it, right? Including like maintenance costs, right? Once you buy it, you're stuck with maintenance bills, you're stuck with all of that. Might be more convenient, but unless you're using it every day.
Because I mean, in all reality, we probably need to look at non-essential equipment purchases.
And we had talked about fleet too, right?
Well, that too, non-essential equipment purchases, if they can affect the levy, I think we should look at them because it's gonna make the difference of us. It's gonna make it a lot easier for employees to get. I think employees will be happy giving up maybe a piece of equipment if they know they're gonna get a raise this year too. And that's not something we have to look at cutting.
Into that.
I think if we, go back to, bonding for equipment and, back to that discussion, then maybe, it can be discussed there. Because we also for 25 cut out all of, every department's capital improvement projects right off the bat to balance 25. And so if we continue to do that, then they'll never get any of that stuff that they're looking for. So, so at some point we gotta try to,
Work
That-
back in
yeah.
capital improvement.
yeah,
We don't have any for FY 26 then. We continued.
so we cut what forestry was asking for, and then there was this, I don't recall anything else. Oh, there was chairs for the county boardroom that you guys did cut that too, so,
Well, things have failed.
I think that's all I recall.
I'll bring one from home, yeah, don't worry.
It's leadership, right? If we're, you know, I think our chairs being the most comfortable in the county is not a priority for me.
I gotta have something to whine about it. I did it for him.
Okay.
So then the consensus is we're going to remove that. It's 51,376, but then they also decreased their equipment lease line, which they would use for renting equipment. Because of the purchase of the skid steer, so we'd probably want to put money back into that. They cut 2,000 out of that line. So
So maybe before we do this, we should ask him to come down later or something and don't just. I don't know if that's necessarily cool to just do it.
You did request him to be available to talk through the joint management budgets as well. So he is like, anticipating that you will call him at some point this afternoon here.
Okay, yeah, so we should talk about that.
okay.
You know, unless we can come up with another plan, then that would mean funding for equipment, but
We're gonna have some extra fees from the treasury department.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gave that to Sky.
500 bucks.
This is a more approachable death by 1,000 cuts number. A 200,000 number
Right.
is way different than a $1.2 million number.
Mm-hmm.
So that's better.
well, we're
But I
still
s-
gonna pull the 1.2 out of general fund.
I'll forget about that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's huge. That's the
But at
beat.
least we're getting back to where we were last
We
year,
started at what, 2.2, wasn't it?
Right.
0.3, I think.
2.3.
I think Chris had something to say.
Yeah, if I could go back to the bonding for equipment, I think that with the skid steer, I think for fiscal 26, because there is discussion about bonding for equipment, but we don't have all the information yet. I think it would be safe, and of course, you need to talk to the department, but I think it would be safe to defer that, restore the lease for fiscal 26. So the 2,000 or even $3,000 for fiscal 26, knowing that it's a priority for fiscal 26 and quite frankly, the end of 25, to work through the debt service estimates, to work through the bonding capacity and that to know that you have priorities, which are roads, which is highway equipment, and try to generate that capital plan to see what the impact is, to then maybe say, okay, we also can include, 150 for department equipment as part of this plan as well. And then that's how you would fund this going forward. But I think it's a timing issue right now. And to the board members' point about all the increase, maintenance costs and the PMs and that going back to a rental for fiscal 26 would buy you a little time on this piece of equipment. And so that plan can be put together.
Right, because we don't have a capital plan right now for those purchases.
Well, and forestry currently rents equipment from highway, so I don't know how much they do that, but I mean, when they need something, they rent it, right? It seems to be working for everybody. So he just needs it in his budget so that we can swap it from one department to another if he needs to rent one. Well, that would give us roughly, if we left him 5 in there for renting equipment, that
Yeah.
just for hypothetical, and get us down in the 150s range. Somewhere.
Correct. Yep. I'm trying to see if there's any.
I don't want to put an actual number to it until we talk to him, but
And then one other piece in my budget notes, and the treasurer already talked about this morning, was various fee schedules have not been reviewed or updated. I'm not sure due to the timing, because there's normally a process that is involved with, the review of fees and that, but this could be something to actually do in fiscal 26 to have it for the fiscal 27 budget. And there's a few fees here, just as an example, that when we talk through this with staff, we may want to spend some time to look at these fees to get them updated.
Just a couple notes on some of those. I know that I believe the sheriff's department is bringing forward a resolution on the paper service fees at the next emergency services meeting, which unfortunately is October, but they're already looking at that. I think Nick is going to speak on his fees, which he has been looking at. The medical examiner did try upping some of her fees, and that did not pass her committee. And I know, Sky and Justin are looking at their highway stuff. And then clerk of courts, I don't know on that one. I mean, they are discussions that are happening in
Which committee is medical examiner under?
emergency services.
Oh, really? Would you like to share with us, Mr. Wedwick, why you chose not to up your fees and create more income for the county?
Probably gonna have to lower the animal shelter budget now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Terry was chair at that time, were you? It was last year, I think.
Oh, darn it.
I was.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for being honest.
But I would say because everybody's so high in the sky happy right now, I'm going to propose that we add another 52,000 to payroll for animal shelter and put in this year's budget for next year. Because it's not going to continue the way it is.
I would back you up on that one.
Because we had originally put in, hey, well, I don't want to discuss, I mean, if you're still gung ho about equipment, let's finish that discussion. But for the emergency services, for the medical examiner, what was the specific?
She was looking at charging some fees that we currently don't charge, but most other counties do, and upping a few of our fees. And the reasoning that many of the committee members gave was it's hard enough on a family when someone has passed.
Grieving. And did you get the other email I just got regarding that stuff?
Okay, what are the current medical examiner fees and what was the proposed increase?
Oh gosh, this was last year.
Okay.
Yeah,
You have to give me a second.
Is it like something like $100 to $200? Was it something like 500 to 1,000? I just know.
Wasn't that.
Uh,
This was a long time ago.
explaining that, I see the point though. You got a grieving family and
And
trying to
that's,
figure out how to pay for a funeral.
Yeah,
and that's one of the issues currently regarding one specific case about whether the county should have done an autopsy or not. And that is hitting the fan again. I thought that had been resolved, but there's a new discrepancy.
grief is difficult.
Emotions run high and
So even if fees get adjusted, I guess to sum this up, it's not gonna be a huge windfall, but
correct.
No,
That's
no,
that.
at all.
for all of them, he's got listed up here.
She's way under her budget all the time.
Great, but when we make cuts that are like $100 here, $200 here, if you can increase your revenue by that $100, that's something you don't have to cut then. I
Exactly.
mean, it might seem nominal or
Every
minimal, but
every nickel and dime counts.
right. And we really, to Chris's point, we really should be doing fee schedule maintenance as part of our budget process. That's something when we get our new finance director in, hopefully they'll go through that budget process and suggest updates.
But we can't count that chicken till it hatches.
Correct. Just like Missy's stuff can't go in until after the board meeting on Tuesday because the board might not pass a fee increase. So we can't budget for that yet.
So our gap then We need to go back line by line, department by department.
How about we start with Nick since he's here? We haven't,
Where's your $200,000?
Yeah, Nick might have 157.
Could find you maybe 500.
Lift up the,
Thousand?
lift up the mattress, there's more than that in there.
He doesn't have a Superman costume under that shirt, right?
You guys caught me just in time too, because I was just on the way out the door to go, it's a good day to fly the drone. So
oh,
out to do some on-site stuff.
I think there's fees associated.
Well, Chris, if it's okay, we'll come back to you on some of these other things. We got somebody here right now. We're gonna go to this land and.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yep.
so. Nick has, made some changes in his budget that is going to help, as far as like freezing a position. You know, that's his plan, since he had some openings come up here recently, so that.
Which budget are we looking at?
So we're gonna be looking at, so there's a few different versions of the Lendicon budget in there. I think we should look at the one that's zoning admin vacant. The one we should maybe focus on.
Opening is read only. Gary? It's so scary to do this with Excel. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so paranoid here.
Guy and Tanya are the originals, so
Yes.
you're okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mess it up.
Yeah, I already messed with them on here. They yelled at me. That's, I know I'm safe.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we looking at?
so we did like a high overview of Nick's budget with him when he came the last time, so I think we should you know, go through it with fresh eyes, and just start with page 130.
Giving the summary.
I don't really look at this summary. I'm not sure. You can look at it if you want, but
As long as we know the account numbers that went through.
so the first one would be the 130 Land Records Division, or also known as Land Information, the non-grant budget. So one notable change is for Fitzel, what's his title?
Information officer.
So there's a decrease in this budget here, because more hours are gonna be put towards the grant budget. So,
So what is the last three digits of that line?
that's on line 10-111.
1-1, okay.
Yeah.
Easier to follow, do it that way.
Other than that, I don't think there's,
No other major changes. There's one small one there. We are working on a journal. Just shift a little bit of the travel budget from the SWRM budget into this one, because the GIS technician uses the truck, the DATCAP SWRM truck, when he goes out and he does the addressing. So there is some travel expense that should be shifted, that is shifted to this budget that's in the SWRM budget right now. Pretty minimal.
So the change on line 10, would that have already been factored into your
Yeah.
197 number?
yes.
see any reason to beat this up. Or that's probably not the right language, but I don't know where we
I'm
find.
used to it, it's okay.
Well, we might be, but if anybody listens to the recording, I don't want to get in trouble for violent speech or some similar.
Do you guys have any questions? And move on to page 132. That's the land info grant budget. So you'll have the increase to the GIS specialist line, line 10. That's going to 1112 for the increase in hours. Then also added hours for an intern. We have budgeted for that in the past, but has been utilized, so, but bring that back in.
That would be an intern position that's shared with land information and land water conservation. I think also, if I may, to note here, there are some expenses and revenue there that are associated with public access fees. And what we've done is we've shifted some of those expenses away from the charged against the public access fee paid for by the grant, so that we can start bringing down the negative fund balance. So if you look at the bottom there, that fund balance at the end of 2025, we're able to bring the fund balance down about 500. In 2026, we can bring that down quite significantly.
And so I was looking at the contracted services, line 20. Looks like we're down from 2024. But I was just kind of curious because what do you guys contract out for? Or?
In the past, that's generally been things like the remonumentation that we're doing for townships. And what we've done for 2025 and 26 is significantly reduce that. I think most of those contracted services now are related to the Next Gen 911 grant that we have for 2025, and we will be applying for 6 as well.
And then that comes out of one of the grant lines for
The grant line down below in the revenues there, the Next Gen 911 grant, and the state-based budget, that's the land information grant that we did.
Yeah, so all the 3 lines that are red, those are the ones that feed into the fund balance of the fund. You have 1 revenue line and 2 expense lines. And at the end of 24, you see that we started with a negative fund balance and continued with that negative fund balance. So over 25 and 26, we have it set up to where it'll restore that fund balance.
But this showing a negative levy, that's something that you just do for something like this, because this is all on a grant, right? Because in other things, there's transfers from one to the other, and this one, you're not transferring anything, you're just showing a negative on here.
Can we do this?
So I'll let you speak on
I
that.
think the way that I look at it is my goal was to get as close under zero as I could, because the grant has to be used for land information. It's not like if we don't use all the grant, we can give it back to the general fund. It doesn't work that way. It has to be used for land information. So the goal is obviously to use the grant to its fullest potential. And basically not go over, so we don't have to draw on the levy, but we can't put anything back to the levy. That makes sense.
So,
Doesn't make any sense to me. Maybe
Well-
if it's grant.
the way it's set up now with that negative, it is giving money back to the levy. That's how it's set up in the budget right now. Is there like any costs within, the land info budget, the page 130, that we can use that money for, so that we can use?
Certainly we could. I mean, we certainly could shift supplies or training. I mean, you know, given this number, we could shift $151 out of the land info budget to the grant budget, and it would basically zero out the grant budget.
Because I thought your intent with this negative was to kind of pay back the levy that you had used for 24 and 23.
Well, yes, that's right. That's correct. And especially in 2026, because we do have a pretty significant amount left over. We were going to reimburse for the land information activities that were done in 23, 24, in order to make up for going over. So it's not going to the general fund. It's in effect paying back what was overspent for land information activities previous years. So in 2025, that $151 could technically be used for that purpose as well.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, Nick, 23, 24, whatever, you overspent, and so that did hit the levy? And so now by underspending this, in effect, it's paying or taking it off the levy. It's
So-
just an awkward way of showing it, showing
Yeah.
a negative levy, because if it's a grant, there shouldn't be a levy effect at all.
But would we, versus moving expenses from that land info budget to this budget, would we just be able to do a transfer of funds to the other budget?
I believe so, yeah. And we did talk with DOA and they were comfortable with us doing that and basically reimbursing for those land information activities from those previous years.
Otherwise, one thing we could do too is we put all of Fitzel's hours into the grant budget instead of splitting them. I know you did put more into the grant budget already, but could we, transfer all of it versus splitting
We
it?
could, but the implication to that is that then he spends 100% of his time only on grant activities, which is not always, that's not the case.
What about Peyton? Does he spend any time on grant?
Peripherally, I think, in cases, but most of what he does not fall under the grant activities.
I understand, with that explanation from Nick and Sky that, it had hit the levy in prior years because it's gone over the grant. And now they're trying to remedy that. And so this is reducing the amount that hits the levy, which I understand it's just kind of an awkward way of showing it.
We could add some accounts to do a transfer.
Well,
So
that's
that this is
right.
nets to zero and then
Right.
reduces the levy in.
Right, because that's what a lot of the other ones are. There's a transfer from this fund to this fund or, back and forth. Because looking at this, it's like, well, if it's a grant, you have a levy.
Yeah,
Levy reduction for the
Yeah.
grant.
It's just we've never done this and done that in this budget before, so
Right.
it's kind of,
Right, there's no line item in
yeah. It's,
right now for doing that transfer.
we'll do that before we publish the budget.
I just think it makes it clear, I mean, looking at, it's a grant, okay, levy effect 0.
Yeah.
But you know, because you have the transfer up in there, I
Yeah, it-
think that's clear and somebody else looking at it can understand.
I agree with Supervisor Redwick. We need to make it clear so that anybody looking to audit the grant monies can understand that we it into the, yeah, we're not just reducing our levy by 1 year. Not well articulated, that's okay. There's not much in 621.
621,
$400.
Neon dams. The only thing that I wanted to mention, with this budget is, we have historically used, power line funds, for this budget, with a little small amount of levy. But there is fund balance here. And I did find the resolution regarding, that fund balance, and it was set up for dam repairs and replacements. So I don't see why we can't utilize the fund balance before utilizing levy and power line funds. So that's the only thing that I wanted to mention.
So the intent here is use the fund balance first.
Yeah, that was my thought.
That's your line 22.
Line 22 is the transfer from power line funds. So right now it's not set up to use fund balance. You just see the increase and decrease of fund balances
Right.
when it stays the same. So, that's my suggestion. We could, I don't know if you want to leave 2025 like it is with the transfer from power line funds. And then, for 26, utilize, instead of utilizing the 2,200 of levy, pull that from the fund balance.
I like that.
Yes.
Yes.
Cleaning up stuff and make it more transparent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have these fund balances sitting there being used. And, you know, they were set aside for some of them for very specific reasons, some of them not so much. So if, you know, use it, I think we should use it up.
Okay, so off the 197 number, that's 200, we can bring that down.
Mhm.
I mean, and yeah, having a fund balance of about 6K there, that gives you 2 or 3 years to burn that down as it is. Obviously, if you guys need money, nobody's gonna deny you money for dam repairs, right?
And basically, when we say repairs, it's basically just, we may have to mow them.
Yeah.
Year. That's really about the only thing that we have to do. They're low hazard dams, so.
We're not putting in a new aerator this year, it looks like. 2026.
No, we are not going to.
Okay. Six 41 doesn't hit the levy? Are we comfortable just skipping that thing, guys? Jim?
This is the pass right, Nick.
Yeah, basically, whatever we get billed for wildlife damage expenses from USDA, we turn around and we get reimbursed from DNR that exact amount.
Cruise on through that then.
The NACD grant is done for this year, and we do not have one for 2026 as of right now, so.
Yeah, I see no levy impact there.
Tree program pretty much pays for itself. And there's a fund balance there that we use occasionally.
Doesn't hit levies though.
Is this the one where we got the discussion about how we never have enough trees for sale?
Yeah,
Specifically apple trees.
Specifically apple trees. This is one of the most successful programs, I think, in the county. I hear about this all the time.
It is very popular. And it's just, from my perspective, it's a balancing act on, because we've already ordered the trees for next year, so we have to put that order in now,
Right.
actually in August. If you order too many trees and you don't sell them, then you're stuck with a bunch of trees that you've paid for. The expenses, you've already spent the money, but you're not getting revenue for it. So the balancing act is trying to find, all right, how many trees, realistically, how many trees can we sell and not have any left over, significant quantities left over. So every year we've been creeping up a little bit and ordering a few more trees, and we have started to work with individual landowners who contact us, who know they want to plant 500 red pine. So we'll kind of lock them down on that order and increase our order by 500, knowing that we're going to sell to this guy and we're still going to have 500 to sell to the public.
So
no.
this is, so part of the Make My Move thing that I was talking to you, and we'll be talking to you about a little bit, is they like to give like little promotionals to the folks that are trying to move into the county, and this is an opportunity to
Apple trees.
add a half a dozen apple trees to the mix. Okay. Doesn't hit the levy.
I think this started with some levy though, didn't it?
It must have probably at some point in the past. That was before my time.
Started small and just kept growing.
At this point, especially here in the last year, for sure, we did up our prices a little bit significantly, but it was enough to make a pretty significant difference in the end with revenue coming back into the program, so we can maintain that fund balance.
Okay, 6.
That's pretty self-explanatory.
45.
No levy. Looks pretty long. What's the else?
Those are all just pretty much grant funded projects. DNR trim grant, Fish and Wildlife grant, the producer-led watershed grant.
It's like and then the grant values below are offsetting the expenditures above. 646. We're returning $903 to the levy here.
Yeah, non-metallic mining, the fees cover the expenses.
Another transfer.
No, this one we kind of just let it ride. It's not grant funded, it's funded by our own permit fees, so, yeah, it just is everything.
Now, what I do see here is that there's been an increase in 2024 from about 15,000 to 2025 to 18,000. Do we believe that the 18,000 in fees is reasonable for 2026, or do we think that could fall short?
I think it's reasonable. That's actually one of the fees we're gonna be looking at. So.
You typically have the same amount of pits or non-metallic mining.
Right, and we did have one new pit this year, so there will be an increase just because of that one.
So your estimated increase is built in here already on the revenue side. So if it doesn't pass, then we'd have to adjust.
We'll have to look, yeah, we'll have to look at the budget.
That's like a 3,000. It's not gonna be catastrophic.
But if you look at so your projection for 2025 though, is at the 17,997.
17,997 is actual.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so, I mean, it's only $3 shy, I think. So that's what he's already had for 25. That would be increase. I think 18,000 is reasonable.
Shoreline protection program.
Yeah. Conservation practices bond and SAG, that's reimbursed from the cap grant.
All those are green.
The swarm budgets that we're,
Yeah, I cruised all the way over there. That's probably where the conversation.
this is, again, mainly driven by our swarm DAT cap grant. And I will say the revenue number for state aid there, that's the actual number. We do, when it was a pretty significant increase from previous years in that swarm grant.
So did we absorb $71,800 last year? Like, did this grant and lower or something like that?
That's for the 6-month number.
This year.
Right. For this year.
That's at 6 month. We haven't received any state aid as of June, so that's why it has that there. But if you.
This is one of those budgets where I generally don't do the reimbursement until February
This is where you pay, you end up paying first and then get
first. And
after the first of the year.
this budget and the previous one, the bond seg money, those are ones where we reimburse and then we get reimbursed the end of the year or beginning of the following year.
So that 71,800 number is really just kind of the outstanding funds before they reimburse. That's what.
That will be reimbursed.
Save the best for last on.
That's where,
This is the one that's still in significant flux.
yeah, so this version that we're looking at is specifically related to zoning, having that zoning administrator position vacant, and filling it maybe next year we have it. And we have that in there at step 5. There's a lot of moving parts with this right now.
And I am to that point, I am going to be going to personnel committee next week and asking to get that interim zoning position shored up at step 7. Realistically, I don't think we're going to fill the zoning administrator position before the end of the year. But if we can at least get that interim zoning administrator locked in at that rate, then that takes a significant headache off of the plate. And what we've also looking at doing is taking the existing administrative assistant, and she is interested in moving into that zoning technician role. Wants to move into that role, so we can move her over there and leave the administrative assistant position frozen for the time being. So this budget, and I did take the liberty of working up a budget, assuming that step 7 and leaving and moving up the administrative assistant, interim zoning administrator through the end of the year. And that will, based on that latest budget, that actually allows us to meet the levy target for 2026.
I'll just explain what I did with the wages in this budget and the versions that you guys are looking at. So the zoning administrator, includes, the wages and the payout for the, previous zoning administrator, and then an interim, at step one, based on what had been approved already. And then when we had our first discussion going through next budgets, he was confident that, someone from within would step up into that position. And then based on our policies, that person should automatically get step 5 of that position. So that's why we were budgeting for step 5 for 2026. And we already took out the administrative assistant. As you can see, there's 0 for 2026 for that, and moved that employee up at step 1 into the zoning technician position. So
Do you have to post this and advertise it?
the zoning administrator position is posted.
It is, has been posted, yeah.
For promotions per policy, no, we don't have to advertise. So that's what this budget is reflecting, is those changes or the patient. So the step 7 is not built into this, the one that you're looking at.
So that would be. So the net effect would be what? We would lose $5,000, or it would hit. The net effect of going to the step 7.
Yeah, do you have that built into your version? Otherwise,
Right now it says, it's gonna hit the levy for 39,620. If that's gonna be like 44,600 or something like that, I'd like to know. Or if it would reduce it, but I think that's,
no, I don't.
It won't reduce it if it's stepping up.
No, but it would go up a little bit. It would be, the change would be from 32. Or step 5,
3264.
3264 to 3330, basically.
So I'm not comfortable with making that change within this budget to step 7 because it is outside of policy and it does,
Right. And I still need to go with personnel.
yeah,
Present that.
so at that time, if it is approved, then, we have time to change the budget. We can, otherwise a budget amendment. Done. So but are you guys comfortable with keeping that zoning administrator, for 2026 at step 5? Whether we hire someone new or hire in within, so, I mean, we need to.
This, but what's in front of us today reflects the plan as it currently is, right? Like before any kind of meeting coming up in October.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So so that would be, I mean, to me, the safest course of action is that on the day that we review it, this is the plan. And
If it changes.
That could change next week.
Then change it
it's
then.
too late, yeah, then it has to be a budget.
Well, it depends on, it could get, like you said, slipped in there if it's approved next week or something.
yeah, yeah,
Still change it before the final budget.
yeah.
But that change wouldn't be catastrophic.
I don't know.
No, I don't believe it would be at all, honestly.
Okay.
So if you go back to. Okay, so if I'm reading between the lines here correctly. Thinking 2, maybe let one go? I mean, if this person decides to move, then we don't refill. So 50% of that, if I'm not mistaken right now, that one position is grant. 50% of that is roughly levy, right? Or
Yeah, roughly.
is there a way to get creative here? When it comes to zoning tech? Kinda do part of the old job too, so the grant can still go with that position?
Yeah, yeah, I think there is. And I believe that, you know, if you look back at the, and I don't know what, it'd be 651, I believe. It's the swarm, yeah. I had actually left some wiggle room there because all of these are still kind of in flux with what's going on. There is actually some room on the swarm budget in 2026 that we could use for administrative assistant type. So there certainly is an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, because we did eliminate those expenses from all of the budgets related to the administrative assistant. So any of the grant ones, there are no expenses for that position in there any longer.
But I mean, you know, legally, if that person could still be able to do some administrative assistant duties, but it's in the same department. Why couldn't we use some of those funds to offset?
We certainly could.
So would that also, because I was back here in 132, is some of that shown up there in this grant? And info grant access, is that where some of this is? So you got administrator, specialist.
We have in the past, you,
Okay, you didn't put any in.
we zeroed it out
Yeah.
for this year.
But any idea what that would do to this, or is it not gonna change it at all because you're kind of anticipating that already?
So if you were to budget for some hours of the zoning tech in here to cover administrative duties, that's gonna reduce the transfer to the land info budget. So it will increase the levy in this particular case.
Increase the levy.
Correct, because we're gonna do a transfer of the additional grant funds to cover levy in the land info grant. Well, if you add more expenses to this budget, it's gonna reduce that transfer we can do, so there'll be more levy in the land info.
So in that land info grant budget, right now, the negative levy, the amount to go back is 132.16. If we shifted 100% of that person's time over to the grant budget, that would reduce that 130 by whatever that salary.
Right, I forgot there was this.
Yeah, but there were some other budgets that the administrative assistant was in, like the special projects budget, is all, reimbursed.
Swarm,
And swarm.
non-metallic mining, eventually.
Are we better off with this overage that's in 132 I mean, I don't want to beat the hell out of it, but just let it sit there? Or are we better off to try to move it?
So I think as we were discussing, we have to transfer it because we have to show that the grant nets to zero and that we're using all of the funds. Otherwise, they will request that money back.
Right.
We don't use it. So we're gonna do that transfer to do that versus trying to move expenses.
But it's not gonna affect Nick's levy at all. It's our benefit, but
It's already built in here
Built
to
in.
reduce the levy, so no, yeah, that transfer isn't gonna help us out right now, but if you start.
Sorry, I'm overthinking.
I think Nick needs to sell more trees, and we need to put all of those proceeds towards the levy. I would,
A lot of trees.
yes. They're not, yeah,
I've thought about that. I've talked with counterparts in other counties and, there are some other counties that are selling 3-4 times the trees that we do. And I'm scared to order that many trees and be stuck with them. So that's my concern.
all of our forest land is already forested. So if you order the trees and he buys them, there's not like you can
You can't just run them up. Yeah.
5-acre reclamation or something.
And I was border more apple trees. Those will sell.
Yeah.
They will, but they're also more expensive. So if you do get stuck with those, then you're out quite a bit of money.
I think we should be digging up trees out in the county forest.
Would be 100%.
The apple thing ain't gonna work out, but I mean,
Black walnut? Yeah, you got some walnut trees up
he
there?
can pick whatever he wants. I don't care. But he'll sell some maples and some oaks.
Yeah.
Tell Johnny I come up with that idea. He'll like it.
I'll put them on that.
I might really appreciate it if you look at it.
Good work.
This year we got a shovel in the budget for the trees.
I thought we axed that. The shovel, I thought we took the shovel out of the budget. He needs to use,
Gonna have to use his hands or some
he's
homemade.
gotta rent one.
A lease shovel. Oh, boy.
So I'll make you guys a little happy because there are a few different versions of the land con budget that I prepared and we put together just based on different scenarios. So the one that's pulling into the budget summary is not the one that we just looked at. And actually, it has the levy for zoning at 44,000 some. So when I update that to match this one, it'll be just under $5,000 decrease to our gap.
What's the number? Literally going.
I know. Where are you at right now?
I was at 195 or 75.
Yeah, with Sky's adjustments, because she had a few things in there. I think our number right now before the equipment purchase discussion is 197,675.
Yeah.
Right. And
So
then,
what did you
We
take?
found another 2,200 then and one of them here.
yeah, for the dam repair fund.
Oh, yeah, that's not reflected in my working capital. So, yeah, okay, you're right. So
Good thing we're not getting paid by the hour.
I know, we haven't even gotten to the other discussions. So.
At least we started out with some mistake with the potatoes, but we're down to the vegetables.
These,
So we would be down to 190,845.
Yeah. Nick's just gotta get his committee to fee increases and he'll be good to go.
Yeah, and that actually, we had planned here over the course of the fall and winter to look at the fee schedule again. It's been 3 years since we updated those.
Well, zoning was, when we did the ones in zoning, when I was on there, I don't know if you've done them since, we had it set up. I thought in there that they were supposed to be reviewed every so often.
Yeah, every 2 to 3 years in that original motion, in that original resolution, we did write in there that we had the ability to go back every 2 to 3 years and revise those fees. So,
You know, we did some here earlier today for a treasurer's office. I was thinking about that and it reminded me of some of the other ones I've been involved in. I almost wonder if all fees should just be, and that should be a finance thing. All fees are reviewed yearly.
yeah, or every other year at the very.
You know, May of every year, everybody review their fees. Done. It's before budgeting time.
Well, if you think about it, inflation changes every year, right? So we're always doing,
Well, if they decide not to do an increase, they decide not to do an increase, but at least every committee that has fees reviews them before we start the budget process.
we should write that down so that we can talk about that later.
I'm only writing them.
Who's got the good memory around here? Cause it's not me. But, you know, fee reviews every May.
That would have to be something we'd add to the financial procedures policy.
Yeah, I think our entire budget process, if I'm being honest, needs to be revamped.
Correct.
Better than what it was 2 years ago.
I mean, this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, like I think we need, like, I think committees should be setting priorities
Oh,
quite early in the
definitely.
year. And yeah, I think once we get our new director on,
You making notes for things we want to change to the finance policy?
I've already, yeah,
You know, we could get a budgeting software that would help.
the manual.
That was
Do
something
the buckets,
cut.
What's that?
you gonna do the buckets,
I think we should do the buckets, yeah.
bucket idea?
I don't even want to know.
It was at the WCA. Were you in that one?
No, I missed that one.
That was a good one.
Were they real buckets?
Okay,
Yeah. Had chips.
any more questions for Mr. Stadnick?
Here's our due expenses from last year.
Fly your drone, Mr. Stadnick.
Where do you want?
Get out of the public lines.
Perfect.
Take a picture of my property?
Is that what you guys want? Let me know.
That is what I want, but the leaves really haven't changed.
Can you charge for that?
We could, it's not outside the realm.
Aerial photos in the county and start charging for, I mean, I'm not trying to help.
It's a real service. Other people are doing it.
I want it. I want it.
I think the county.
County employees maybe will give a discount, but
When I originally talked to the committee about getting the drone, that was one of the things that I talked with them about was, you know, that is a service that could be provided for some fee. Have to be reasonable, but
It's like a couple hundred.
like right now, I do charge if a landowner wants to do a nutrient management plan. I charge for that, basically get reimbursed, the reimbursement that comes from the state, part of that stays with the county to cover my cost to do the nutrient management plan, so.
Nutria?
Nutrient management plan.
Oh, nutrient. Okay. I was like, I don't think we have nutria up here. We have fever.
tells on farmers when you put too much on it, on your land.
That program doesn't exist for the Shittaq Chain of Lakes then, because
It's a big problem over there.
You don't like them turning green? The algae out there?
I moved into Russ County for a reason, guys.
That's county in Wisconsin. A world.
That's right.
You should use your submersible too, you know, where to use that at.
Don't have one of those.
We could find artifacts at the bottom of the lake, like they're doing in the eastern part of the state. But there's 400-year-old dugouts around here.
Okay, we done with
That
that?
was cool, Nick.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Want to talk to Brett again now, or what's our thoughts? Is he available?
Yeah, that would be great. He was just texting, asking for an update.
I mean, he's got a lot of grants.
It is.
I mean, that's a tough budget to.
It is.
For.
And when you're on the committee, it's just kind of like, whoa, what?
Yeah.
It is. And you don't get through because he's one of the few, so you have to just trust that everything you're given is.
Board.
You don't have time every month to go through, appeal all that, but then, yeah, to Ashley's point. There's, like I said earlier, I want to start peeling the financial procedures.
Yeah, I'm willing to go on that bus with you.
So that'll take some time. I don't remember how many pages are in it, but I know we're gonna have to do more than one page a month. It'll take the next 15 years.
What conversations do we have left for today? Do we have a lot of?
$190,845 worth.
Yeah.
Plus 50.
We were talking
Plus
about,
52,000, because I want that.
Oh, we're not
40.
adding that in until we get rid of the one at 9845.
Make a
You
motion.
don't add the deficit
So it's my understanding that there's been an offer made to the finance director. Could we update that budget in any way or no?
It hasn't passed the board yet though, is it?
That's what?
Does it have to pass the board before?
Got pass the board next Tuesday.
Or we update.
Pass at the board next Tuesday and she accepts, then you're gonna have it. You'll be able to lock it.
That result in a savings?
The result of the levy saving
How's it going?
No, you think?
versus being a consulting firm, and no offense against Mr. Bingham, because I like the guy and I've never met him. I mean, yes, it will save us money in the long run.
Laughing and.
He likes honesty.
$275 an hour, I understand.
But
Yeah, we did
that's what it is.
budget at the cost. Well, anything less than that. Or 6.
But regardless of what happens, it's
It's just like budgeting family insurance.
Right, yes. I think
You have to do.
to do. Okay, so what are we getting into next?
Yes, we're going back to
Pick on Brett Day.
maintenance and must be joint management.
You know, I saw you going into the car park that day and without your glasses on,
Oh,
I looked at you 3 times like, who the hell is
I noticed it right as I got
that?
up.
When I heard your voice when I'm laying in the next room, I'm like, I know who that is.
Yeah.
Oh, my apologies. I wasn't trying to be.
No worries.
We got $191,000 we gotta cut out of your budget. So it's your.
It'd be good.
All right.
Where do we stand with 126?
So with 126, as far as that skid steer goes, I did have two places that were willing to work with that financing idea. If we wanted to go that route. One was Swiderski Equipment, the other Baraboo. So the better deal came from Baraboo. They were willing to do a 84-month, it'd be a lease to own at 6.9%. Where an annual payment would be $10,695.08, and at the end of the 8 years, it would be a $1 payoff to own the skid steer. Kozerski, they did a 6.5% at 84 months with a New Holland machine, which would have put us around 14,000 a year for an annual payment. They didn't want to put a ton of time into the financing just because I couldn't tell them for sure if we're going to do it, but I was at least able to get the information from them that would get us in.
So are you getting some type of special program municipal wise by doing this lease thing or?
Just tax exempt is all.
It's couple, 3 of them have 0 right now. 72.
Yeah.
Now, you might lose some rebates. You know how that game works.
Yep.
But I'm getting stuff on my emails. I know New Holland's got it and JCB both.
Yeah, people are running out of money to buy equipment. Sales are way down.
So, I mean, I don't. Right. Like possibly, then it'd be budgeted every year and you don't have to come up with.
As far, yeah, with the 0% and stuff.
If we're gonna allow him 5 or 10,000 or whatever to rent equipment, we're better off with just on a payment plan per year.
And they didn't run any of the rebates or 0% because I couldn't guarantee when I would be in to buy. Well, we don't know if stuff's gonna
Oh,
expire.
those expire the end of the month or something.
Yeah, so they just kind of left it off of there. So it's a little bit high, most likely, but it's an idea to get us in a ballpark.
And what is the effect if we don't give you budget to buy a skid steer, but we raise your budget to continue leasing or renting as needed? What does that do?
Not much effect, just no long-term benefit, I guess.
And it's less convenient, right?
Like, I mean, for the most part, I mean, I can move the schedule around with what we're doing. It would probably be pretty rare to where it's like, I need to right now type thing.
Like the idea of borrowing at 6% when we got money sitting there that's only gaining 4%. Just to make a budget number look good.
Right.
And then you also get into, it's just like buying vehicles. So you get into that game where you get rebates or keep financing. Either way, they got themselves covered. You gotta do the math to figure out which one's better, but.
I think we rent from highway this year. Does highway got equipment that you could rent that get the job done?
They would have adequate equipment, yeah, for as long as we could rent it.
So if we rented this year and then looked at 27. There's 24 done.
Well, one thing about it, if he rents it from highway, it's not.
We're recycling the money.
We're not spending any money in the long.
Family.
I think there's 2 track skid steers out there now with the new one, isn't there? Don't know. Who the heck works out there from sitting at this table?
Keep track of what the equipment looks like.
Yeah.
It's a number to me.
Well, I know they got one, but they're counting on that one being their primary in the summer for doing their bigger jobs, but.
New one, was that track? We just got that yesterday.
Did it?
Is that be the other ones going to auction?
Yes, I believe we're gonna, yeah.
There's a 7810, I think, going to auction, but if I understood him right, it's like a 1980 something.
Okay, gotcha.
So you're probably better off to keep what you got. But it sounds, I don't know, I guess. I thought it was an 81, unless I got the number wrong,
I don't know,
but.
that could be the number.
Yeah, and that's one of the challenges, right? Is our gap is low enough to where that $50,000 line really makes a difference. Really makes a difference here.
Absolutely.
That's why it's that part of the discussion.
We apologize, we're going after low hanging fruit. You made the list. Being honest, I mean, we're trying to get to,
Oh, that's sense and beat
we're
around.
working on equipment in general. But we're also trying to make a plan going forward. You know, for capital improvements and equipment, because we're gonna have the same problem out at highway again too.
We changing line 37 to 0?
Is that where it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
What's for
21,
25?
76.
Then do we gotta
Wasn't the whole cost of the skid steer then?
No, that was before money got moved around. What I was able to try and carve out of everywhere else is where that 51 came from, so.
we gotta add somewhere else for renting from?
Yeah, what did you carve out that we need to put back in?
Well,
That's a question.
some of it, we did go through and add back in just because I wasn't comfortable with,
Yep.
the numbers, and so Brett and I went through it. So we did adjust things, but like the equipment lease line 36, just above the 51, that would be the other side that.
What do we gotta add there then? Probably 5?
This was gonna be my suggestion, if we could take that to 5 and if we dropped 37 to 0. Just to give us that little freedom of movement there.
They get a 5 for a total.
Yeah, so I'd increase it by 3,500.
So 51376 mine. Is 5,000 enough for the year?
I think so, yeah.
He had, some of the leasing hits other budgets too, so. he-
We can kind of
Budgets.
spread it around.
You didn't cut yourself super short somewhere else.
I did, and then Sky came in to save me, so.
She front running us. She was like, hey, they're probably not gonna give you your skin. Great. Like,
I did. I did, you know.
She cut him in the hallway.
You're on the chopping block. Just give you a heads up.
you know, and again, from my perspective, you know, all of a sudden, that's less maintenance that you have to pay for and other hours and things like that too. Turns into that, but. So is that like an hourly, like then when we go from highway to maintenance on the skid steer, like do they charge you like an hourly?
Yep, we track what we put on the machine.
That's like what, $100 or something an hour or 200 hours?
Remember that.
I think so.
Well, it depends on what attachments you use. You know, the Fecon head puts another, I believe, $40 on an hour. Versus just a machine in a bucket.
Yeah, so the new machine, if I just go off of that, I just set that up. I think it was like some dollars an hour just for the machine, and then, yeah, attachments would be added.
Can I rent it?
Oh, you can't, unfortunately.
I asked too.
Okay.
Yeah,
Gig. Well, that's what the department shouldn't be paying the same rate as.
the rate is set by the state, so,
State equipment rental thing.
yep, it's just, we use the state rates, so that's, with the skid steers though, they did just make some changes to the classifications of our skid steers, so, there's possibility of that rate changing some, especially at the beginning of the year, when they reevaluate, current year, so. Made quite a few changes. We do that state rate, charge them for actual hours that they use it.
You had one other thing, so we're good with that deal there. And then one other thing, didn't you have something you're working on? Not that I'm trying to, but pick up, swap or whatever, or did you decide it is, you probably were just kind of forced to hang on to it for now, maybe, or I don't know.
Basically, I took it back into Don Johnson's the other day to see if they could give me the rate that they originally quoted 4 months ago, and they couldn't. Truck market had moved too much, so what they could offer me was too low to be able to.
That was, guys here, we can't talk.
Oh, stop.
I'm just kidding.
Wasn't that, back when, wasn't that to forestry and we thought that was overkill?
Yeah.
What we thought for out there.
Because originally the plan originally was they'd offered me 50,000 for the plow and the pickup. And I had found a replacement, an F-150 at 23 for 37, and then I got a quote for a plow for 6. So I was gonna do that and then put the extra back into general. But now, and supply and demand too, at that point, they didn't have any 1-ton gas trucks, and now they have 5. So they're like, our supply is down. They offered me 40 for the truck, and it's like,
So the one you have now is gas or diesel?
yes, yep. So, the way it flipped around, I would have had to borrow money to get the pickup, and that wasn't the original plan. The plan
I
was,
mean, it'll work, right?
it could.
It just was overkill in a sense, if I understood you right.
And a single cab is tough for storing your tools, but
You know how it is, you own something for a year and that's your biggest kick in the rear, so that's where you're at. Okay, so you're good there.
Yep.
And then we had. Any more specific we want to go over on just maintenance budgets, or I know we have some things on joint management.
I get, so the last time you had mentioned, that facility analysis, kind of want me to go through that, which I was able to find it. That was done back in 22.
Oh,
That one total was $3,591,510. That was everything. It's like carpet, paint, side. So, I could go through that and start kind of cutting out some non-essentials. And get an idea there, but I'm still waiting. I was hoping I'd have it back by today, but, I talked with TK Elevator, about our updates that are becoming necessary for the elevators in the building. They're gonna get me a better quote, but offhand, they said ballpark around $650,000 for 3 elevators. 2 of them, they have a package to where they can just kind of flop them out. But our oldest elevator right here is gonna take a lot more work than that. That 650 was a ballpark that they had run in 2022. I guess they had come in here. And so nothing's gotten cheaper since 2022.
It's
So,
definitely gotten cheaper.
yeah, no. Yeah, so.
Okay,
On the phone, when I originally called, we just talked before I came down here and they were still trying to dig out that old, study. But on the phone, he said, figure $1 million. And hopefully we'll be able to run a little cheaper. So,
The boiler's sitting. That's been an issue ever since Wool did this study too.
yeah, it ran last year. It really gave us no problems. Out of the ordinary with a boiler system. So it's old is the only thing. And hopefully if there's an issue, it's nothing catastrophic. But we are, to property. So a letter had been sent to the county board by, the police station there where they were renting about the water issues. We're gonna take that to property. Myself and the sheriff had met and it looks like that's not gonna be a small project, with we talked with the DOC and yeah, we're expecting that to be a pretty large project too. So we'll present that to property coming up, but
Sure, we talk large project, like $1 million?
I wish I could give you a better ballpark, sorry. The issue that we're running into is when you cut water to the jail, we can't keep inmates here. So it's gonna mean them,
I knew that was coming.
yep,
So
so
you
it's gonna mean them as well as dispatch,
gotta empty out the jail.
set up, empty the jail out. Depending on the scope of what needs to be done, it might mean this full side of first floor not being able to work in here if we need to get into the ceiling, because that's where all the plumbing is. So the fire safety issue would come up. We'd have to talk with the fire chief and just see, because we would have to disconnect the sprinkler system to this side of the building. So as long as we could maintain occupancy during that would be something to avoid. But another issue is we're grandfathered into a lot of things in the jail. And when you make an update, the DOC says, okay,
The standard.
everything comes up to standard. So in his words, you could be looking at anywhere from 250,000 to 2 million. We won't know until we have somebody come in and really dig
When
it.
you say, the interesting thing,
like $2 million.
so when you say grandfathered in, so say you go and move a brick up there, do you have to remodel the whole floor?
No, but when it comes to plumbing, so we have porcelain sinks, urinals and toilets up there. Those would have to come out and get replaced with the state standard stainless because you're changing the plumbing
So
system,
you do have to upgrade everything.
which is what it's attached to basically, because you're doing the plumbing. Now your fixtures and appliances need to come up to code as well.
Misunderstood.
Wait a second. So would we have to replace all that if we were building the new jail and moving forward there, or would we get to defer this maintenance first? You guys know. That's like a $2 million.
You don't want to get in the middle of that fight right now.
I know, but like if we're literally gonna be,
No, I just want to come and check the heater
We're
and.
still gonna have to, you still have to upgrade the plumbing. I mean, if your plumbing's leaking, you still have to do that. But as far as if the toilets are porcelain instead of stainless, that probably wouldn't have to necessarily. So you might save the costs that would be incurred due to grandfathering in. But
Yeah.
the plumbing's gonna have to get replaced. I mean, if you're gonna utilize that for offices, you're
Still
still,
need the plumbing up
yeah, you still need the plumbing fixed.
Okay.
Yeah, but that'd be a whole different scope though, because then we're talking,
it's just-
rip it all out and put one bathroom up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's cost.
That'd be a whole different game.
Yeah,
But I guess, so,
because I hadn't even thought about the cost of maintaining the old jail if we don't move forward with the new.
oh, I mentioned it a couple times, everybody ignores me. What we talk about is the cost of the new jail. I wanna know what it's gonna cost us to remodel.
We're
this
gonna
building,
have to
because
make
it should be
this
included in the scope of it.
Usable, and that's gonna cost a lot of money. We're not just gonna have an empty space.
See, I had Wold look at it a little bit, give us some ideas what we could do with this part.
Well, that guy from Samuel's group called me and we talked about that and I said, just get a ballpark figure of what it's gonna cost for the remodel so that we understand that if we build a new jail, here's a total, because there's more costs than just that. It's the remodeling too that's gonna cost.
It actually came down to, getting a little off base here, but it actually came down to one meeting where Mark and Johnson was in here and they gave me a number of what it would cost to remodel per square foot. I mean, it was nothing we could hold him to. And then I said, okay, and what's it cost for tear down? And it was like way less.
A lot.
And more or less the recommendation at that time from Mark and Johnson was rip her off, take her down. And then I said, first, might as well just put the money into this side over here and build one floor, new administration offices, county boardroom, whatever, and put it on this side of the thing and go. But if the plan is to build a new jail and then keep adding on the stuff over there, I don't know if that makes any sense.
Always another ball in the air, it seems like here. It's interesting though, you know, if we're,
Yeah, you wanna know
well,
all parts of it.
suddenly I get a little worried that if you don't move forward with a new jail, you end up spending half the same amount of money on an old jail and you end up with a crappier product and a crappier everything.
Plumbing's been an issue since before I got on the board 5 years ago. I don't know why it wasn't addressed then.
Probably
That it was just
Band-Aids.
everybody would complain about, but I never ever heard it been, that it went to a committee to just get it addressed, because it probably should have been started 5 years ago. At least then we would have got a few years out of it before we decided to maybe,
got the whole thing.
the boiler's been an issue. Elevators were brought up. It was all stuff that was, I'm sure the elevators were in that plan too, weren't they? I think were addressed.
With this one, it sounds like they were on a separate part that I haven't been able to find though,
I
so.
think there was something about the elevators that was done. It was those Wold studies. I mean, there was a lot of cosmetic stuff in that study that was, my cabinets are peeling, my door needs to be painted, I need new carpet, but
The ceiling tiles, yeah.
yeah,
So many tiles.
yeah. But
Furniture.
How much does it cost for one of those? $25 now or something?
Oh,
It's a lot.
it's a lot, yeah.
For each tile. It's insane.
okay,
They don't make them out of asbestos anymore.
so we need to address that another time. Well, you'll have to get through property.
Phil and I plan to present it, October 1st is our next property. So get some direction, I guess, from them from there. That, and it's tough to put a length on the process. I mean, it could be, we're looking at 2 months of housing out of county. And that's a bill in itself, So,
Well, we might even go, then building a new jail, you might go through that for a month, I don't know, maybe they'll be able to go work from here right over there, but I guess the other question would be, you're probably gonna get put on the spot, can you keep this thing patched together even if they started building a new jail tomorrow?
that is a question. Just keep chasing leaks. It's like every time we think we have it fixed, we're good for about 2 weeks and then it's, oh, no, it's leaking from here now. Do our best to fix it as we go.
I think you'd run out of places for leaks to exist by now.
I was thinking so.
I remember chasing leaks before and this seems like,
You just follow it down the pipe till it drips.
yeah, true.
Depends on how much slope you
But
got.
what I am not gonna be happy about is if we end up in a situation where we're replacing porcelain appliances with stainless steel appliances in an old jail. And it costs us several $1,000,000 and we could have avoided that cost. You know, cause that's, I think that's about the ballpark, right? It's in the millions, not the,
Likely.
yeah, it's in the millions.
Imagine you spend $40 million on a new jail or whatever you spend, and then you spend $5 million instead of $2 million fixing up the old space.
That's gonna fly like a fart in church.
Yeah, it's not gonna be good, right?
So, I mean, there's gonna be costs to fix no matter what, but do you tear down the house and build a new house and then spend even more money fixing the old house?
Because what concerns me
It'd be
there,
the funniest thing ever.
what concerns me there is if we sell a new jail to the public, well, whatever, that's not correct wording, but
Right.
if the board is to pass facilities and then all of a sudden we come back and go, oh, by the way, yeah, we know we're into this for 40-some million, but now we got, like he just said, we need another 4 or 5 over here now to fix this.
I do think Samuel's group will plan to address that cost of what it would take to remodel, so at least we know.
And, you know, and if there is a new jail, the cost of remodel should be less than it would be to remodel if we were just doing, right? There would be a couple $1,000,000 in remodeling avoidance, the old facility. Right? Like there would be some savings there, we would think.
You know,
But like some of his issues with elevators though, and that's just been.
Being avoided.
Elevators, boiler, those basic things, they're not gonna go away just because we build a new jail.
Although,
He's eventually gonna be dealing with them somewhere down the road. I mean, look now, he's what he has to deal with. I mean, when you get these in between days, I know I've been in here. You got days where the AC should be on, it's not on because things still set up blowing heat. And then you got the days it should be blowing heat, it's blowing AC. I'm sure you hear it all the time because I notice it when I'm in here.
I hear about it.
And he's got no choice. It's the system he's dealing with. I'm
Yeah.
sure it is.
Right. Well, and those are, I think, expected, right? Like the elevators, that's a safety issue that we need to address no matter what. But again, if we're literally replacing porcelain toilets with stainless steel toilets in an old jail, that's not something that we should be doing. We can avoid it.
Well, let's get back on track here or else it's gonna be, we want to go home.
Sorry, guys.
No,
That touched me. That touched
so is
me.
there anything else we need to touch? Otherwise, I'd like to go into these joint management. Where's there were some issues. We have some questions for you that we were holding regarding some improvements.
Okay, Joint management.
It was under economic.
Economic development.
Okay. Make this one better anyway.
So this is not going to affect, our levy gap that we're looking at, because all of these budgets are funded by the mining fund. But we are addressing some of the improvements that the committee was saying.
Some of these buildings are pretty old, we should probably build new buildings for those too.
Bid it out.
Want to make somebody buy them?
Well, that would be
That'd be
our
better.
best thing to do is split them up.
Which one we gotta go to first? 69?
Oh, yeah. So the ones with the red highlighted cells, so the first one is 669. Actually put in notes.
$100,000.
Yep, and then a note of what, those improvements, what the cost is supposed to cover. But I think they're guesstimates though, on a lot of these too,
very
because
much so. Yeah, for the boiler, so that was installed in 97. It's original to the building. And it's working. Occasionally it would fault out last year where on really cold days, probably some temp sensor somewhere where we would reset it and it'd fire right back up. I think there was probably 3 to 4 occasions where that happened. Otherwise it ran. So it's old. I mean, it's at the end of its lifespan, but it is currently working. They did have me put together an RFP for that, joint management did. The only problem is to get costs for boilers, you've got to get a company in to look at what you need. Yep. There was a lot of talk of rezoning everything. Kind of, I felt complicating the idea where they wanted to install 2 boilers so they could let them run piggyback on one another versus just a large dual stage, which is in there now, which is just that it's a dual stage. When it needs a little bit of heat, it kicks half of it on. When it needs a lot of heat, it runs full power. And they also wanted to rezone so they could bill for heat by which renter, basically where they had their thermostat set at versus the way it is now where we charge per square foot. Were both things that they had me add into the RFP that is going to drive costs up if we're looking to cut cost. It's
Long run, would that save money? Cause, well, like if I go in there and I'm using hardly any electricity, but then, or, hardly any heat, but then the next guy's just using a whole bunch of it and cause he's got
that's
a manufacturing option.
it's tough with in-floor heat because for the most part, people are going to keep it between 68 and 72, which is at the end of the month, it's pennies. Really, with the in-floor heat in the boiler system.
It don't make that much difference.
Gonna manage that though in the billing. Do they have any idea of that?
No,
Because that takes manpower to do that too. So that's added cost there.
I mean, if it's like using like smart sensors and, IoT technology, you can kind of make it easier for billing people, because then it's cost associated with this device is associated with this section of the building. So that works out okay, but
Costs a lot more money.
yeah, it still costs more money.
Still takes a person time to do that.
that was the gist of the boiler system. So the RFP is written. I've got it saved to where if you did want to go ahead with that. And then the ventilation, you want to set up a system. So, I don't know if you're probably familiar with the firehouse, the hoses that run on the trucks when they idle inside, just to pull the exhaust out of the building in the wintertime when they're idling inside. They had wanted to get that installed as well. Which was just mentioned. They didn't have me go ahead and do any legwork. I was trying to get bids or price wise what a ventilation system would cost within there.
Trucks are running inside at these buildings.
They're stored inside overnight, so I don't see much reason to idle them for very long before you pull outside. It stays about 60 degrees in the bus garage. Pretty much start them up and pull them out.
So the normal person, what I'm hearing, the normal person will start the vehicle, back it outside, let it warm up. That was really that big of a deal, but the whole point of parking them in a heated building is so that they are already warm.
I have to do that. Yeah. So that's where I both understood where they're coming from a safety standpoint, but also just driving outside is an easy way to save 50 grand. So
Well, and somebody's now
That's
leaving.
half of that 100?
that's about
Yeah,
the total, total guess, yeah.
If somebody leaves the door open now because they want to keep the vehicle inside, so now your heating cost goes way up. I suppose if you're charging them for heat, I guess maybe that doesn't matter.
So you feel the
charge-
boiler, oh, sorry.
We do charge them for heat right now, though. We just don't have it accurately per tenant or whatever. We just do by square footage. So I guess that doesn't matter if they leave the door open. That's their
Yeah.
heat cost.
They are pretty good about it. They've all got when there's within the vehicle, they hit it, pull out and hit it again, it shuts, so. Yeah, it's like I say, it's really hard if you're not in. I couldn't find a price looking online for a boiler. They don't advertise that kind of stuff. So I saw prices of where the boiler itself was anywhere from like $40,000 to $70,000 for a large two-stage. It's 1 million BTU.
You say you had an RFP written up for the more complex X. Is it appropriate for us to recommend that you submit 2 RFPs, one for the more basic ask that would just replace what we currently have? Is that something that we can do here in finance, or do we have to run that through property
For joint management.
or joint management?
So let me ask this. So, okay, it's 97, 28 years old, whatever. Assuming the one here is that old, if not older.
Yeah.
Is this boiler system that's out there fixable if it breaks? It's serviceable?
Totally depends on what breaks. I wish I could give you a better answer than that. There are companies that service them. We'd have to find one and call them if it was something beyond what we could do. If a board goes out and it fries itself, I would imagine they probably aren't making parts like that anymore for them, or that might be a replacement as a fix.
Upper wires.
I mean, my kid just
There's one
bought
on eBay.
a used oil burner that's like, I don't know what it was. It's like 30, at least 30 years old, 35. You're still able to find parts online. I mean, that's why I'm asking.
Well, then, to your point, that's valid. It seems like some of those older systems that are like 60 and 70 years old keep humming along. And then some of the systems that were built in the 90s or early 2000s, by then there's been some engineering changes and they're no longer as serviceable.
Because from what I've seen of the building and our structure here, if we were to switch these boilers out, there's no access to them other than they're under our feet right now. Does that mean a wall is coming off the building? To pull them out, I don't know. But it's not gonna be a small project by any means.
Well, it's got to be cut apart, but then again, how do you even get the new one in there? You'd almost have to do something outside and bring the heat in. You probably have to add on to the building, put something on the outside of it and build it above ground though. And probably just leave the one in the basement. They decide to tear the building down.
Might have to,
Thanks for showing up, Sean.
might have to.
He loves this stuff.
That's the ugly part of remodeling is sometimes it goes great, but sometimes you spend more than if you'd just built a new house. What it's gonna be, yeah.
Well, I know we're kind of putting Brett on the spot here, but I guess my thought is right now, and I also talked to somebody on this committee. And they felt we shouldn't be putting a bunch of money into these buildings, so. For things that are still working, we have problems here with some of the stuff we have. Even though it is coming out of a separate fund, but someday it's gonna be gone. Unless we stay ahead of it. So, I mean, I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, but. Or you wanna look through the rest of the other improvements that were on here before we make final decisions, or? There's some others too, wasn't there?
Yeah, we could, just so Brett doesn't have to be here as long. Maybe.
Okay, let's get through.
Rid of me,
We can-
it's fine.
What other page?
The next one, 672 was another one.
So, yeah, Fritz Building, first one I'll hit is a sprinkler system. When we had Integrity, come in this year to do the yearly on it. That's a dry system out there, so, it's just that the pipes themselves sit dry and there's a main valve body on the water main. That if smoke's detected, opens. That body has been rebuilt enough times to where they told me it's probably gonna be a new one in the next year to 2 years, which would be in the like $15,000 range to get that valve rebuilt. Or sorry, replaced. You can only service them so many times before longer they can legally be in a building. So that was one. The other is the siding to the north side. The committee had brought that up. It was on there through the tornado, so it's beat up and dented. That would be along the railroad tracks. And their thought was improve the outside look of the.
Cosmetic side of it. I mean, we're worried about boilers failing in the middle, but cosmetic, I mean, as long as there's not water getting through. I'm not sure that we want to worry about cosmetic
Not this year.
this year. Yeah.
And there's big trees on the north side. You really can't see that much of the building.
Got ventilation listed too.
Put some lattice up or something.
So that one I was kind of working with Tweet Garrett. That about 20 years ago, there was a system installed that we cannot service, and that unless you are a dealer, you can't get the software for. So trying to make that system run is very difficult. It's had us whooped a couple of times to where for a week we were going in the morning and turning it on and letting it run and heat the building up to like 80 degrees and then go and shut it off at the end of the day until we could get somebody out to service that. And more or less, the software is not out there. So Tweet Garrett we're out. They spent about a day out there looking at it, trying to get something to where they could kind of break into that system more or less and be able to operate it just simply to heat the building as it's like off a traditional thermostat type system. So I don't have answers on that yet. I wish I could give you a number, but I'm still waiting on them. They thought it was fixed once and we quickly found out that that wasn't the case. So just old stuff.
So what's your gut on getting so the ventilation, there's an actual whole heating system?
It's an air handler on the heating system. There's a boiler there as well.
More expensive than the one we just talked about, do you feel?
I'm hoping not. If they can break into that software where they can get a computer hooked up to it and actually make it operate the way it's supposed to, it shouldn't be nearly as expensive. That boiler's in good shape. It never gives us an issue out there. I can't speak on its age, but it's never given us an issue. And mostly out there is just dry storage. There is the clinic portion. We seem to be doing okay keeping them heated and cooled in there. But otherwise it's Sam O'Keefe has his bear bait in there. Alan Bradley has some dry storage over there. That type of stuff to where if it's only 50 in the building, it's not the end of the world. We can keep it heated. It's essentially warehouse storage.
So we're gonna do the sprinkler system, cause that sounds like that's not good.
15,000.
Roughly.
And for that, what would be the most that would be needed here? 50?
It'd keep us safe. I'd keep enough for, we run into with a bill with Tweet Garrett, I think, to get fixed up and operational.
Or is it one of those deals where band it on for 35 for the heating and we could spend 50 and replace it? I guess that's where I'm going.
If that's the case, I'll come back and talk to you. I hope not. If they can break into that software, we should be okay. It should all function the way it needs to. I just can't give you an answer if they're gonna be able to do that.
It's just a matter of getting the right furnace company that has the diagnostic tools, right?
Which they're pretty much none left. That system that was installed, the words out of the guy's mouth was, I don't know why this was ever put in this building. It's completely out of place.
I think I'd feel more comfortable here when it comes to these particular budgets. All I'm gonna say is, right now, just approving the sprinkler system. And let him come back, and if we can always do a transfer later on if it's something that absolutely has to be done. The money's not leaving the money.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, hopefully.
You can do a budget amendment, but if the money is there, then I think the committee can just vote to spend, so. That's probably best to
That's where I'm going.
do a budget amendment as we see.
As we see fit, and he comes back and tells us that it's really needed. I just don't wanna keep just dumping. I mean, to even ask, I'm hearing, even ask this number to be put there, seems like.
Well, that's
It's really steep.
I think the conversation we had last time is that I think there's a lot of, capital improvement projects out there. And, back, in my professional life, I've seen like facilities plans where they've kind of planned out in 2026, we're gonna replace this boiler and at a cost of this, and in 2027, we're gonna replace that boiler and that, and I'd kind of like to see a longer term plan of what all we have out there, because it seems like there's more, you know what I mean? Like you probably know because you see it every day, but I don't think we have a good grasp of what the liability is.
Well, we already had this discussion, but if I remember, it was over 300,000 that was asked out of a fund that's got a little over $1 million in it, and they're trying, I mean, it was asked for in 1 year.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is like, and like, so things for like the elevator, right? That's $1 million of liability that we have out there that we haven't really necessarily planned for, or, gotten to a budget season where we can start, building up a fund against that $1 million liability. And I bet you have more. I bet you got more. What else you got?
Everything's been band-aided for the last 20 years.
Yeah. Like even if you just had a giant list of like color coded by building, it's gotta be.
I think the newest addition here is what, 91, it says out on that one building?
95 was the east side.
Cause I wanna arm you like with the money that you need to fix this stuff over the next few years.
And that's where it's tough with from what I've seen now, about a year of being here. A lot of our issues here, aside from the ones that have been kicked down the road, stems from the tornado hitting this building. It's like this whole building swelled and never came back down. There's some dandy cracks in the foundation and the basement, like,
Oh, yeah.
like
I've seen them over here on the south side too.
2-3 inch wide cracks that
Water that comes in the basement too, sometimes through the west door down.
like just, yeah. Buildings are, you have a tornado hit a building, they're just never the same, never sealed up as tight. And a lot of issues kind of stem from there.
None of that was evaluated when they did the jail project.
They did a full building study. I don't remember all of that, but they listed the big things. But, I mean, there was talk of work that needed to be done here. I just don't remember how extensive it got.
Yeah, that would be my challenge. It's like really is, yeah, and maybe outside of these budget hearings, but if there was some administrative help to really get a huge list of all of the things that are out there, because that liability scares me. It's in the millions. And
This,
it can only help you if we know.
I was hoping this winter, when we get slowed down, I'm in my office a little more to try and put together like a master plan, essentially for major upgrades or major repairs that we're gonna need to do in the next 5 years or so.
Even if it's, even if it's 10 years out, go the whole way, because
So are we good if we change this one here on Fritz to, my thought is 15,000 for sprinkler system.
Are you thinking 15 on top of the 15 that we, had budgeted for normal repairs? So like a total of 30?
Yeah, it sounds like that sprinkler system probably needs to be done. If I understood correctly. Another one here that's got major expenses. There was another one.
Enterprise Fritz ADF.
Enterprise we looked at, we were gonna go back to it. Yeah, oh, there's India.
It was,
82,
yeah, this one kind of popped up. I don't know if this was maybe looked at for next year from before my time, but the HVAC, there is 2 new cooling units in ADF. And as far as last season, we never had issues with heating. So, it's one I don't know, either got by me or got around me or something, because I'm not privy to any major upgrades for the ADF building.
Okay, my vote is to strike that one down to 0. If something changes, he can bring it back to us, I guess.
This is your note. I was like, are you sure? Yeah.
Oh, this was the joint management committee. So that's why, yeah, Brett and I were just presenting what the joint management committee forwarded.
We did have some issues with the AC this year, but I got on the roof with the hose and there was a bunch of that kind of cotton from the popples got in the unit, hosed it out and fired right up loophole there. So
They obstructed the fins and made it less efficient.
so I don't know if maybe at that time a complaint went to the joint committee around me, and then when it got fixed, it maybe never got communicated that it was a simple fix. So
We don't got, I mean, if it's not an issue and we're just buying stuff to buy it, that seems like kind of a problem. When we're looking at other stuff that it actually is problems, we're like, can we make it last 3 more years?
Well, here's a weird part about this last 30 seconds of this conversation. So you budget for a brand new system, but yet the guy who's overseeing the equipment and doing the maintenance on it doesn't know that there's an issue to the point of where it needs to be budgeted for a whole new system.
Well, that's where his, if he uses his winter to create a master plan, that would give you a little bit more, conversation to have with like the joint management folks and be like, wait a minute, this isn't in my plan.
Where I'm going with this is we have people making decisions on new equipment that probably shouldn't be making it.
Right. No,
That's why he's overseeing things. That's why he's here.
That's why we keep
we put,
writing zeros where they wrote hundreds, thousands.
yeah. You. You're the guy who's smarter than, you're the guy who knows.
Back
Okay, we got another one?
to enterprise,
Yeah, what was that one?
69.
I'm not familiar with this building. I can't keep them all straight, but is there a lot of tenants in this one?
Yeah, Enterprise is the one on, is it Barnett? 1101 Barnett. Okay,
Yeah.
yep, so they have, I think Liberty Roofing is in there, RCTC is in there, Barefoot Painters.
I think that's it.
Marshfield Clinic has some storage, right?
Yeah. They do.
Small amount of storage, yeah. And that building is full.
Marshall has storage out there?
But this one we had an earlier discussion where we're not replacing the boiler, but you're gonna have the bid. This is one with
So that's something where I'm gonna need some money. Unfortunately, we need some money to get somebody there to tell us what we need to do.
Cause you need, in order to diagnose, you gotta basically pay a service call to diagnose, essentially, to figure out what the problem is.
So when we were discussing the ventilation, we were talking about the buses, but I remember correctly after hearing the tenants, I think Ashley had mentioned something about Barefoot Painters, since they have paint and stuff, that might have been the reason for ventilation.
both valid reasons to need ventilation.
There is an old ventilation system there, a spray booth from, there used to be a cabinet maker
Cabinet.
there. When I met in joint property, they had brought up wanting some repairs done on that. We have it, it's functional, it works. And they had wanted some repairs. The joint committee essentially said, well, that unit's 30+ years old and it was there before they moved in. We're not gonna replace this for you, essentially, because it does pull some cold air inside. So it draws from the outside and there's a heater that it's supposed to run that cold air through that doesn't work. That we had a service call look at and they essentially said, you're gonna bankrupt yourself trying to fix this old unit. So when I brought that, this was when I first started here. Joint management basically said, no, we're not gonna replace that. So I don't know if that got slipped through too, over me.
I was just wondering if that could have been one of the reasons for the ventilation.
I want to say this was well before my time and your time, and the Joint Management Committee had looked at ventilation systems in Fritz Enterprise and in Gates
For
10 years ago
vehicle idling.
or something. Yeah, and this is still like, they had it investigated, they had the plans done and then stopped.
That's what I thought the ventilation was about, was for idling buses like we had run into a few months ago, which, yeah, don't let your buses idle inside.
And you good, right? Are you good for right now if we give you 10,000 for repairs? Then we can make a plan going into 27. I mean, that way, if you gotta fix something or whatever, at least you can have a plan going into next year. And if it turns into emergency crap show, I guess then they'll have to come back and see us. You good with that or no?
Yeah, I think 10 should work.
I think we are better off with the budget.
We're at 5 on the year. And
Right, but look at 2024 actual and how much it
Yeah.
costs to have somebody come
that's what I'm thinking,
do an evaluation.
maybe going up to 15.
I would give you
15. I wasn't even looking at that. I was just throwing on.
15. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of projected this, yeah. Then that way it gives you a little extra to figure out where that's at.
Mhm.
What was that other one, Sky, you had up? Was it 680 for 10,000?
Oh, yeah, yeah, that was just increase in repairs, due to the language.
Yeah,
Oh, like a safety number, like.
So that building has been sitting vacant for quite some time. And so the last couple years of numbers aren't entirely accurate. I would say 2025, a little bit more accurate because we put money into it to get Index up and running. That's like the concrete, the stuff. And then Brett did a lot of work out there too, just to get the building kind of back up to in use status.
This one also, you have to look at 681 as well, because it was 2 buildings, now it's 1. And we're budgeting for all expenses in 680, moving forward, but some of that projection would be in 681 as well.
So you almost have to do past history. You're saying is you add up 681 and 680, but then sure.
Yeah,
but
No,
you got six.
The history in 681 is not very much. It's like $2,500. So
Right,
here's
and-
another situation where you could do 15,000, I guess, if 10,000 is not enough.
I think 10,000 would be okay.
so
So they also did add 20,000 square feet onto this, but that building is brand new, so we would hope there wouldn't be.
Inside there.
it is, that was my question. So I heard a little bit about with that lease, is it they're covering any repair up to $1,000? Or they only cover repairs that are under $1,000? You know how
They-
it's written?
Yeah, they will cover that up to $1,000, but like, let's say you fix something and it's 2,700. That 1,700 is coming out of our
That was,
budget.
And it does not include structural or mechanical improvements.
Which is most of the repairs Brett does out there.
that's a,
Leases.
I'll change the light bulb, so.
Yeah, light bulbs are
Yeah.
$1,000. That's right. You really rack up a lot of $1,000 repairs, $150 repairs. Like, so like if they need 10 light bulbs changed, change 1 light bulb, bill it, change the next light bulb, bill it.
Which, and that was one of the things before they would move in with joint. Every single light had to be working in that building. I think we put $600 worth of light.
LEDs,
We bypassed the, ballast inside and went to LEDs, so it's brighter and should last longer. So
That's a sustainability. That's an eco-friendly upgrade.
All right. Anything else we got here?
what's that?
Sun
So we're
energy,
leaving that at 10 or?
have you checked, or is that something they don't, cause I mean, they do like,
We get grant money to do stuff like that.
we get upgrades at the mill for sun energy for even like slating and I mean, different energy projects. Be worth. No guy from Focus on Energy, meet you contact.
Guy asked a question.
We're leaving this at 10,000.
Yes.
Yeah, leave it at 10.
Okay. Do you have anything more for Brett? Cause few people want to leave it at 4:30 and I'd like to get some stuff wrapped up before then.
So.
Good job.
Just an update, we started, at, using $322,500 of the mining fund. And we brought that down to, 89,250. So,
Do you want to talk recycling at all?
I do.
You wanna make more cuts?
Well, you told me to make cuts and you haven't even heard them.
I thought we already did them.
No.
Just kidding, actually, I forgot.
354 in the maintenance budgets. In the finance committee folder, I have recycling budget cuts. Can you pull that up, please?
354, right?
On the Z drive in the committee folder, yes, it's 354. And committees. Okay, yeah, as long as I pull it up, I think we'll be okay. But yeah, if you need to go to your other one. Or no,
I'm guessing they're probably.
September.
We're gonna start cutting as soon as it leaves.
We'll go into
Right.
this year's.
Budget cuts. Well, you'd asked me to do some research and you asked me a whole bunch of stuff and here's all the answers. So the green is all the recycling sites scattered throughout the county. If you scroll to the next page. Several sites, and I mean, it's not economically feasible to have a site in every municipality, so several share. So when I started recycling in 2007, this was that recycling coordinator's best guess of who shares sites. It's not exact by any means. It is strictly a best guess, but I had to come up with this in order to determine the next page. So I don't buy office supplies, so it's whatever highlighters I have. Okay, so this will tell you how many dumpsters I have at each site. So we have a total of 43 and what type they are, whether 8 or 6. Frequency, the yellow ones are weekly, otherwise it's every other week. And then Wilkinson, they're once a month. It tells you the cost per month, how many times it get emptied in a year, and the cost per year. And then I divvied it up by the population so I could come up with a per capita amount per person in that municipality. But once again, that is based off that horribly colored best guess. And then the site reimbursement of what they typically would get. And then how many hours they're open in a year. And then scroll to the next one. And then property. So I took all this to property. They recommended that I eliminate City of Ladysmith reimbursement for curbside in 2025, and then to bill municipalities for contamination fees. So I went through the last years of contamination fees, and it's vast. And it's only getting worse. So without any adjustments, that's me calling up saying, seriously, what did you bill me for? It's $2,769. Now, I don't think that would be a good amount to guess. I would say 1,500 because you would think the last 2 months have been horrific in contamination fees. So hopefully it wouldn't be that much. And then I added them up by like who has the most contamination. So what I suggest is,
It's my neighborhood. I'm right next to Big Bend.
oh, yeah.
Walkman shape.
Yeah, okay, so City of Ladysmith, we're not proposing that we eliminate the entire amount of the 216 line, site attendants, but City of Ladysmith chooses to have curbside recycling. And so that's technically a luxury, and so we would eliminate that in 2025. In 2026, we eliminate that, and then we bill the contamination fees, whether that's $1,500, that would be my guess. But the options, what we could do to get us through 2026, if you go back to the budget page now. Is the budget? Yeah.
You might not. Just go on.
One easy thing to do is remove cost allocation. So we are grant funded. That is the last bill I pay to close out a prior year. That would be an easy fix. Do not touch the site attendance at all. But then in 2027, reduce site attendance to 25% rather than 50, and then eliminate it in 2028. Keep in mind that this is our grant. We are 80-some% of the county. If certain populations pull out, there goes our grant. They have to become their own little RU. Most people would not do that, most municipalities, because we're still paying for all of the disposal. But this is only going to get worse year after year. Grants don't change. It hasn't since 1995, but costs keep going up and up. So I want to give the municipalities time to prepare. So what I would recommend is that we eliminate cost allocation. I know that's opening up another problem, but if there's money at the end of the year, since that is the last bill I pay, it would get paid. We've done that in past years. And then the overage for 2025, because I'm going to be over this year, take out a non-lapsing. That solves this year, and it gives them a heads up for future years. I'm not saying there won't be any money left for cost allocation. There might be some, but that is a big guess anyway. And we don't even know the actual amount until later in the end of the year, what we're even going to get hit, because it's from 2 years ago or however they determine that. So that sound okay? So just, if you just take out proposed by finance at 3,500, you'll see that I'll drop within levy limit, or your proposed, whatever that number is.
That's it? So you're gonna bring back like 35,000?
I asked you the question, do you want me to cut it all, or do you just want me to get to the number?
You yelling at me?
I just speak very loudly.
You forget what family I'm from. I have 2 sisters. But you can all.
So remind me again, by asking you to make the cuts, what did we lose? What did we lose as far as service?
City of Ladysmith lost $3,725.50. And then what we could also do is take out $1,500, which I don't think that was in there, Sky. If you take out from the 251 line, material process, no, not 251, the 216.
The 895.
We're gonna, let's take 1,500 out of that, because that's what I would, oh, no, or is it material processing? I sent you an email. What should I do?
You already took some.
Oh, yeah.
The money that's gonna come back.
Yep, out of the expense. Okay, yeah, that would be the material processing.
Okay, if we take 1,500 out of that, that makes us look even better. So we're billing the municipalities for their contamination. Now, that is not necessarily an easy fix, because like Village of Hawkins, they do curbside, they dump it in the town of Hawkins. If there's a fee, who am I billing that for? But that's a different committee. I'll ask that question too. So we're billing for contamination fees. I'm estimating $1,500, and $3,725.50 is getting taken out of the 216 line.
But there's still something in the area for people to take their recycling.
Yes, we are not losing any hours. We're not losing anything. It's just reimbursement to municipalities is staying the same minus City of Ladysmith. But in the past 2 years, we've eliminated curbside recycling and they were the last to go. And then, so this is the best thing without eliminating any services, without cutting anything. But I'm going to tell them if this all is approved, that, okay, we slid by this year by doing this, but next year I'm going to budget, I'm going to request that we take out another 25% of the 216 line and that we eliminate it fully in 2028. That gives them ample time to prepare. Could we do that now? But sure. But I think there's easier ways to accomplish that without cutting services.
Well, and you know that the hauling part of it's just gonna keep going up.
Oh, and yeah.
So, and we're not gonna get any more
Yep.
money, so that
Right.
answers the question.
So this will hurt the municipalities in that if they have a lot of contamination, it's going to affect them, but that's whose employees they are. They're not my employees. So maybe
If it keeps
some of that will
going
help.
away, it might get to a point where we're only paying 90% of the hauling fee, because it's all we have to. cover. Well, you know
Well,
what I'm saying?
there's the blanket cost and then there's all the extras. But it'd be nice just to have the same bill every month like it used to be, but now it's just been insane the last 2 months. So,
So the site attendants for next year are going to be cut 25%.
no, 2027. And then in 2028, reimbursement will be cut fully. Because every time anything goes up, I just have to keep cutting. So, I mean, I might as well warn them, give them a 2-year warning rather than, oh, by the way, a couple months from now.
Yeah, so the narrative really is, we used to have budget to support a site attendant for the municipalities. But over time, due to increased costs, we are no longer able to really subsidize and help them do that anymore. And we don't lose the electronics recycling day, right? Or the
No, Clean Sweep is
Clean
not
Sweep is
touched
safe.
at all.
And then we had also talked about, I think there was a rural site that we had talked about shutting down sites, and we're not touching those either, right?
We're not. So,
That's good compromise.
Okay, so that takes another 5. Now brings us down to 139, 469.
Oh, yeah, that goes against the levy. What do we say?
I'm at 137,967.
With this,
Yeah, with these changes.
I'm gonna let. Worry about this.
The only thing wrong with the colored maps are people come from all over and try and slip it into the ones that don't have
Mhm.
recycling. Well, recycling is different, but garbage.
right, and yes, I'm only in charge of recycling. In an ideal world, that is who goes where, but just in the town of Washington, where they're placed, I have some that go to Big Bend, I have some to go to Willard, and I have some that go to Thornapple. I mean,
Grant.
well, Grant gets hit, but yes, Washington goes to Grant too. I mean, because they can go anywhere. It's just, I always tell them, you can go anywhere for recycling, but you can't do that for garbage.
how to solve it. Got your costs right down. Mom gave me her recycling one time. Walked over, I saw this dumpster, I opened it up, put it in. I don't know if it's the right one or not, but I took care of her.
Recycling is still law. I'll just end with that.
You have to be on colorblind. I might have been at the wrong bin.
Yeah, I mean, it kills me that we are literally destroying, that we're hurting a recycling budget because, clean Russ County is cool, right? Like,
And you're doing it without cutting anything, services. So,
we want clean land, we should have recycling services available.
okay,
Especially clean sweep.
Mhm.
thank
You
you.
know the difference between a creek and a crick?
I
A crick has a tire in it.
was gonna say one's what he does and the other thing is what I swim in. Yeah.
There you go. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we got half hour left.
I think we're also cutting.
What else we got left?
I think
Anything else that comes to mind? It's probably sleeping.
Not sleeping, sir. Wide
All
awake.
right.
That was exhilarating.
Yeah, I bet it was.
Everybody's energizing, right?
Oh, yeah. You should call her on the phone. You gotta like.
He goes home at night and he's like, you should hear these guys up in Russ County. I mean, holy.
Oh, man.
That's funny, good,
I-
sir.
I think we've discussed everything that like we had on the list.
Yep.
So my thought was for the meeting on the 30th, that we give the board an overview. Are we to that point where we can do that? Everybody feel comfortable with that?
I again would like to bring up animal shelter, making one half-time person full-time. Because that's what we had before. It had been passed through all the committees and everything a year ago. The city started being around with stuff. And you look at getting another half-time person, you're not getting anybody half-time for $11 an hour. And the half-time people that are there are only 13 something. So again, and it's already been Carlson Dittman's already done it. We already know what the costs are. We already know what it costs to make the half-time full-time. So again, I would say to add that to the budget.
Where would you think we'll get that extra money from?
Same place you're gonna get to cover up the $60,000-$70,000 the city pulled out of.
I mean, right now, we're talking, we're negative 137,000. So do you have a funding source other than just pulling more out of general fund or?
No,
What is the dollar amount change?
if you compare difference is from what a full-time person would be with fringe, going with family, compared to the part-time people now, the difference is roughly $52,050. And if you, I mean, and I agree with Scott, you have to use the family insurance thing. What we're looking at now could cut that by another 14,000 if you went with single coverage. But for budgeting purposes, I agree with Scott. You got to put in the worst case scenario.
So, based on my experience with the Animal Control Board, and also meeting the volunteers and the person who is the halftime head, I actually agree with Supervisor Redwick that this is an expense that we probably should take on. And that has to do a lot with just good management of the animal shelter if needed.
Now, I realize this is not, I mean, this was all cleared, all the committees many times and all that. So that in effect has, should we say expired?
At that time, you told us that he was gonna pay for some additional money. When it started clearing committees, you came to the board, so they don't have a choice, they're gonna pay it. And then they bailed out and we had to pay more money. So
Well,
by clearing
no,
committees.
that had nothing to do with the salary. That had to do with what they owed for the animal shelter.
Wasn't that petition passed with the contingency that the city funded half of it?
No, that
I believe
They-
that, that
they-
resolution was worded, something like,
they had it for 40% because that's what the city was paying, 40% of costs, not 50%. And the city pulled out of that, and then it came back to the board, and it was we would the county board would pay for the city's portion for the 1 year because the city said it wasn't in the budget for that year, so they refused to pay anything. And about that time, well, then they end up pulling out. So this would still have to go to personnel and be approved, but you know what the excuse will be? Well, it wasn't in the budget for this year, so we can't do it. So that's why I want to put it in the budget.
But it originally went through personnel.
Yes, it did, and it was approved,
And then it came to county board.
and it
And
wasn't.
there was a stipulation in there that the city needed to fund their part or it wasn't getting done. That's what I remember.
Well, it was that portion would be, the city would pay their portion, which was 40%.
Right. And instead, we lost the 40% and the 100% of what they were contributing. So,
Right. And it came back to being that the county board, the county would pick up the city portion for the rest of that year because it wasn't in the budget. That's why the city said they wouldn't pay for it. And then, like I say, everything just kind of went hot. Well, I'm saying we should be adding this in to put it in the budget. It would still have to go to personnel and be approved again, because this is, it's been 2 years, I think. And it would have to go through, well, personnel and be approved here and be approved at,
We just
board.
did some budget stuff. Position that was passed by personnel already. So this is like doing it the opposite way, going from finance to personnel. I think you'd start with personnel.
But we're running out of time to do that to get it in this year's budget for next year. And then you will come up with the excuse that, well, it wasn't in the budget, so we can't do it.
I mean, we're talking about laying people off and not buying equipment. We're like, yeah, let's just hire, spend another 52 grand, get another person, but some other people aren't as important. I don't know.
Have you been out to the animal shelter? Have you seen what goes on out there?
Out there. Well, I've only been out there. My sister adopted a cat a few months back, but no, I didn't get in the weeds of.
They need it. She is doing, the humane officer is one job. Shelter manager is another job. And it's definitely needed. We already have the job description. All of that stuff's been approved. It's been through committees, the job description to make it part-time, full-time. It's already been approved. The job description's been approved. I mean, the whole thing's been approved, but like I say, that was, I would say, 1.5 years ago or 2 years ago. That all this down. So it would have to go back. It would have to go back to personnel and everything. Yes, it's kind of going in backwards, but again, because then you're going to say, well, it wasn't in the budget, so you can't.
My eyes, what we're doing here is we traded a new skid steer for this head. Right, they're about the same amount of value. But the difference is that this head is a Rusk County resident and a younger person who could really use some of that professional development. And also I'd like to point out that, at least from what I see with the Animal Control Board and then some of the community involvement there, is that this $50,000 and the amount of goodwill it brings to the community is pretty significant. There's a lot of community members out there who are trying to support the animal shelter. And I think that if the community would respond very positively to the, creation of this head, or to have this head there.
So the difference between a skid steer and a head is if you buy a new skid steer and you spend 50 grand, you spend 50 grand. If you spend 50 grand on a full-time position, that's it. You gotta recognize the difference between a reoccurring cost and a one-time cost. It's not an even swap. You straight at a skid.
It does cost more than $50,000 too. Like, we're just talking about the budget this year.
Right, but it's,
There's maintenance costs and stuff, but
right, but that's been.
it's not a great equivalency. I see your
Your problem has always been, let's just do what we, this year, and let's not look in the future, and let's just, do all the stuff that's gonna cost us a bunch of money in the future. And we never have a future plan. If we're talking about, we don't have a balanced budget right now, why would you start already adding to next year's budget that's gonna be hard to balance again? I don't know. I guess I'm not.
We've been looking at attrition. We just discussed today freezing positions. You create a new position, you're gonna open up a whole whirlwind, because I'll guarantee you, Walter was in here that day talking about IT stuff and he will not be happy.
And
Mark's office has already hit me up for a part-time person to do open records requests. Everybody's in the same boat.
No.
And if we can't afford raises because,
That's why I didn't put it on the agenda.
Okay.
and now,
if we gotta cut out raises so that we hire a new person, that's not gonna be popular either.
It sounds like this was a position that used to exist though.
What?
Didn't this position used to exist 2 years ago before the city pulled out?
Keep it coming.
No.
When I was on animal control, there was one person running it with one part-time and a bunch of volunteers. And since it has changed, it has turned into, in my personal opinion, an endless pit. And more people have been hired, the volunteers have went away, and now we lost our share of the funding from the city of Ladysmith. So we've got a problem when it comes to this whole thing, and maybe part of it is because we've had certain members of the public get too involved in it instead of the committee running it. Just a thought. I think there's some deeper digging that needs to go here, because if you're not gonna fix the underlying problem, all you're doing is scraping the dry skin off the ringworm and expecting it not to come back.
And I think with the current shelter manager, he has fixed a lot of the problems that were not addressed before. She's taken care of an auto dog problem that had been going on for years. The vaccinations were not being done currently. Things were not being, the proper protocols were not being done out there with the prior manager. What she's also doing, humane officer. So she's got to work with the sheriff and the city cops and doing all of that stuff and doing that. And you've got to remember, she's one person, and with 3 part-time people that are limited in the hours that they can work, cannot expect them to do the gap, and she's close to being completely burned out.
My understanding of animal control, unless it's changed, it's not the county's responsibility to provide it, it's the municipality.
That is correct. And if you
And we
want,
are funding it for the entire county now, so maybe you guys need to go talk to the municipalities and tell them they need to help kick in if you want another part-time person.
Can I say something? Maybe what we should do is look at, kind of like ambulance services. Ashley, are you listening a little bit? Like, you can go over and above for like an ambulance service. Can't you do it for the animal shelter? Yeah.
No.
That's what I was thinking, is just like, levy it. I understand that, but it's like,
but if you, Jim, if you want to go to every municipality in the county and say, you're going to have your own animal shelter, you're going to have to provide your own dog catcher, you're going to have to do all of that because the county's
it's not
pulling
gonna
out.
work.
The ideal situation would be to have a nonprofit running the animal shelter, and the county would be out of it entirely. That's the ideal
I'm in
thing.
favor of donating money to them every year, just so a stupid thing was off of our back.
But the thing is, you've got to have a nonprofit organization to do that. You've got to have funds that they can carry on and do it.
You know what Sawyer County has? Talk to the vice chair. They have one person that's zoning tech, animal control, and what else did he say they did? Had lunch with them that day. And one other thing, and then their animal shelters ran by a nonprofit.
Yes, that's,
And that person serves 3 jobs in the county. They were able to cut and think outside the box. It was 2 or 3 jobs that person did.
Yeah, but we're sharing our zoning person with other, wasn't our zoning.
We are now, maybe, but it hasn't been that way in the past. But this person does zoning, like it's on, I think, septic inspections, zoning, and animal control. Whatever law that we have where we have to have that one individual that holds that title.
Humane officer.
Humane officer.
But are they issuing citations? Are they going to court? Are they following through on all that?
That's
Are
what
they
did,
not,
'cause
are
I
they
heard
not
they
doing
had a-
that?
I
No.
said, are they doing
Well,
it?
I'm asking, are they not
Well,
doing
you're
it?
the one bringing it up.
I'm just giving you another idea that another county's doing it, and it's
I would
probably
just,
more people
like,
in
if
that
I'm gonna
county
come
than
with
we
I want another person, I would be doing the research on that type of stuff.
We're not coming with another person. We're making a part-time person full-time.
Well, a $52,000 increase, I should say.
Well, that includes the
I would do-
benefits and everything.
I
because
feel
the
like-
people don't have any benefits.
How many part-time people are out there?
Three.
Well, eliminate all three of them and hire yourself another full-time.
I think you got a little more research to do.
You're covering,
I think you guys are picking on Terry a little bit.
No, I'm not. I was on that committee, and I tell you what, it ran with a hell of a lot less money in that budget than what it's running now. And we didn't have near the complaints back then we got now.
and a lot of the stuff that should have been done was not done back then.
Anybody complain about it not being done?
Like
No,
what they-
not to the person.
No dogs for one thing, right there.
Auto dog.
All right, I'm gonna bring this back. We're not, no, we're done with. We're done with that. You wanna put it on next meeting? For right now, it's out of the budget. So if you wanna get it on the agenda, I'll be happy to put it on the agenda for the next time we meet. Then we can vote on it if that's how you feel. But you have a long ways to go to even bring it back to finance. If that's what you wanna do, you're gonna have to run it through the committees, right? We can find a funding source for it. Because the way it was voted down the last time was, it had, there was funding attachments to it. Correct.
It was with the city and the county.
Okay. But I mean, if you're gonna start hiring part-time people back on, we're looking at attrition, and we've been talking about it for a year, and freezing positions.
We get to where we're positive on that instead of a negative number, I could feel differently about it.
The city back in to help fund it. There's your funding right there.
That's not,
Well, I know it's bad. That ship's left.
I don't think we need any joint ventures either right now. But give it to them.
Your budget can be presented with, if we're gonna present the budgets, I'm fine with your budget being presented to the county board unless somebody else here's got an objection to where you asked for it and it was denied for right now. It's not gonna show up in what's needed for the overall budget. But I don't think we're planning on going through all the budgets at county board. I just wanted to give a overview of where we were at.
Well, on any
In general.
budget, like if it goes to the board, any budget could be amended on the floor, like if the board sided with the fact that they felt like the 50,000 should be added in there, it could be added in. It's not like it's not like you'd have to stay with exactly what's on the budget. There could be amendment as well.
Awesome this movie.
Well, and I mean, everybody I think has been struggling to try to, I mean, we're still 138 on the back, and nobody wants to
Above the,
take away a 3% raise either. So I mean, if you want to go the easy route, we could just say, oh, okay, forget it. Take 3% raise, the COLA out, done. We're balanced. We're back to the 1.2. We can all go to 15 minutes.
Yeah, that 1.2 is still
Oh, it's still a big thing.
a big thing, still what we're not funding, right?
Great.
I guess that's the one thing about the animal shelter budget I don't fully understand is Dawn both a officer who writes tickets and a person who has to run that place? Where those, I mean, I feel like those are two positions.
They are.
So I also think that the argument are also, it is compelling.
I get where they're coming from.
If we were.
There's a lot of things I'd like to do too, and I'm not even gonna touch it.
Yeah.
For me, I see the pain point, right? So for me, that's where I'm coming from, is I see that this would be a way to get some help in before we have a much larger problem.
Right. So on the 30th, we're gonna do an overview. My thought was back to that, a presentation to the board, wants to do that.
The finance committee?
Well, it's not gonna sound as good if I do it versus someone much more smarter than me at financial things, you know? She's ignoring, so that means she doesn't want to.
I will 100% do it if you guys want me.
Well, I mean, Chris does a really good job if he wants to do it.
Okay, well, I'll be there anyways, so then Sky and Tanya don't have to come. Chris,
But there's probably gonna be some tough questions that get asked, and you can explain where we're at on certain things if you're good with that, Chris.
Yeah, when is the meeting?
30th.
November 30th starting at 6 p.m.
So
Yeah, that's fine. I can attend.
Do you need
want-
to be like put towards
Oh,
the
sorry.
beginning for time constraints or anything? Cause the chair is here that sets the agenda.
I mean, I would really appreciate that, given that it's 8 o'clock my time.
Okay.
Oh, you're a couple, okay. I was
Yeah,
gonna say,
I-
there's a
I
couple
might
of
be
presentations.
I think Jill put him first. I
Look.
think.
Yep, he did.
So-
He's first, update on budget, 2026 budget.
that's 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern.
Oh, okay, and so it starts at 6 p.m.?
Yeah, central.
Okay, sorry, I put 7, which I then went in my brain at 8. I guess that's what happens after we have a 7.5 hour budget meeting. I start to lose track of time.
Well, good finance,
I
chair
hear
would have
ya.
had the meeting done in an hour, but we got what we got.
And from the standpoint of the presentation, I mean, Ashley and I, we can all work through that, but are you envisioning the document that Ashley sent out as kind of the high level, and then we update it for the changes that we made today?
Yes.
Okay.
Normally, don't you go through, well, I guess if we're just doing high level, because normally at the budget, you go through like just the main sheet of each page, but.
I think what we could do is, I mean, you don't want to turn it into an hour-long thing at county board, do you? I just was thinking we give them an update of where we're at and maybe get some direction. Was my thought. And then maybe someone, when they email out or whatever, can remind them where the budgets are at if they want to look over things before this upcoming meeting.
Make sure they're updated.
So then.
So, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, and so then we would use this, which would then come down to that 137 number. And then
Yeah.
do you want high level, talking about the sales tax? I mean, do you want any of the bullet points about what we did to the proposed budget, or what would you like us to focus on? Or is that something, Ashley, that you and I can work through tomorrow? I mean, just want to get direction so we can get this out before Tuesday.
Yeah, I think between you, Sky, Tanya, and myself, we can probably put some bullet points together about maybe some of the larger changes
Perfect.
that we made. Yep.
Okay.
As long as
Okay.
we include a bullet point that we discussed, but the committee decided not to include a full-time head for the animal shelter.
And you can tell them that we're both very mandatory.
I'm not gonna do that. That's,
We're picking up.
you guys are picking on.
Hey, can I have $50,000? How do you? Not, you're picking.
Yeah, I think that
You're not
the
gonna-
overview, Chris, would be good. And,
Okay.
Fun.
yeah,
Not on
keep
the
it,
levy.
keep it simple, to the point,
If it
but
came-
yet
It would be a difficult.
Maybe
more
show
difficult conversation.
where some of our increases have been from budgetary concerns to this year
I
again,
actually thought you guys
or
were.
what we're looking at, you know, just.
I thought you were gonna like
highlights.
that one,
Okay,
because I've been working on this for a long time. That's just.
And then you can even give some of your recommendations that we could look at going forward, like the freezing of positions.
Oh,
or-
that was the butter.
I'm not opposed to you having that up there, you know, things that we can
I
look
didn't
at.
catch
for
the
future.
butter there. Now I know.
okay.
Right, yeah, put it back in there.
No, I just actually believe in economic development head alongside of the animal. I would have voted yes on that if it was levy also.
Let's change that job description.
One.
Economic development.
But I had an animal control on her.
You want to put another? The person's already busy.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I know it's not an, yeah,
It's getting there now.
we're getting late.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else got anything else for Chris? Did we cover everything on our agenda? Oh, next meeting date. Thanks, Chris.
October 16th.
Thank you.
So you're gonna have to meet before that to approve this budget.
Well, you have budget review meeting dates too, but this is the regular one. Right?
Or next finance would be on the 16th at,
We don't have another meeting set for budget.
Right. And that's, we have to do that too.
then we need to do another one before the 16th is what you're saying? Or can we do it on the 16th?
We gotta do it before the 16th. I mean, there's.
It's gonna have
work.
paper.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done before we can get the budget hearing.
He's right.
Is finance on the 16th at 3:00?
That'd be the next regular, but she's saying we need another budgetary meeting before that.
But I'm asking about the 16th.
Well, I'm thinking 3:00 for now, unless for some reason we need it longer.
I'm gonna write that one down at 3. And then set your budget stuff with Sky. That's,
Sky, how long do you think we need from that meeting to get the information turned to budget committee meeting on the 16th? I mean, do you think we need 2 whole weeks? Do you think we should meet on the 2nd? Because I mean, I feel like, quite frankly, I feel like we're pretty close. I mean, the
Yeah.
gap's only 137,000. So it feels like we can give an update
better than last year.
next
Hmm.
week
It's better than.
on
last
the
year.
30th, and then take the feedback from there. And I mean, I'm not sure if the 2nd works or if that's too quick of a turnaround time. But
Personnel committee at,
Personnel's on that day?
yes.
Yeah, Thursday the 2nd.
And I will be at a conference.
Sky, I'm sorry, is 1 week enough, or do you think we need 2 weeks? 'Cause that's-
I prefer to do it as soon as possible, but yeah, that next week I'm at a conference, leaving Tuesday afternoon and coming back Thursday.
Okay,
But I mean, you can meet without me, that's fine, but
Well, I got personnel that afternoon.
so what
I have
about,
to dial in. If it's not already on my schedule, I have to appear remotely. Because I've got some employer tensions regarding the amount of time in office.
what about October 7th? It doesn't work for me.
About the 6th.
9th.
Yeah, the 6th and 7th, I'm already. I mean, but that doesn't mean that you all can't meet. I mean, I think we'll be so close that it'll be I don't want to say more of a formality, but we should have a plan in place after the feedback on the 30th.
Want the 9th? 9th open?
Yeah, HHS, right, that's Health and Human Services in the morning. And they've got this room booked all from 8 to noon.
3 o'clock, too late, 2 on the,
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
that's, yeah, I can't do the 9th either. Wow, that's a
okay.
busy week for me.
Morning of the 10th?
How about the 8th?
Afternoon of the 8th?
Fine with that.
JYE is at 3, but we could, in emergency services is at till 11. So you could meet. I mean, we could, I mean, who's on JYE?
Emergency services never goes until 11, ever. I think that's just a safe booking time.
So how late does that one usually, it doesn't take very long.
One usually takes an hour.
Hour, yeah.
So how much time are we talking about for this next meeting? About an hour? Saying?
I doubt that. I don't think I've ever been.
Am I off base now?
Or,
Sorry.
I've only been to a few of these, and I doubt that too.
you could entice us with free food on the other side of the door, and I'm not sure it would end too. Otherwise, I mean, courthouse only open till noon on Friday, unless you want to do it Friday morning, the 10th.
Right? I mean, I think that, I mean, it sounded like the 8th, if we wedged it between those two meetings, that'll. It
That
feels
really
like
messes up some of us that work. Either
Oh,
I want to
okay.
take the whole day and do this, or I want to come in later in the day
sorry.
and get some work done. No, I understand though. I get it. Otherwise, we do the 9th and someone updates Chris after we're done, I guess.
9th at 3.
Yeah. Enough time?
Get it done?
I mean, the 9th at 3, or do we need to start at 2, or?
I don't know, like kind of, you guys are kind of chatty, so I don't, thank you. Somebody had to say it, but yeah, so,
Yeah, we got off track big time today. But
yeah. We tend.
Talking about
Um,
Harry, he's too talkative.
But
it's Jerry's fault.
So at 3 o'clock?
I think maybe if we have some solid ideas in mind on the board, then I think we can get it done quickly. If we don't have anything, then that it might take us longer. You know what I mean?
Let's try it. We don't have any other agenda items to cover. We can get right into it.
And it's on a Thursday, so we can stay till 9.
Well, I will say I have to leave at 4:30. I'm volunteering that night at Dining at 5 with Kathy Walters. So I will have to leave, but
You're saying Thursday, October 9th?
That's, yeah, if that works.
What time?
We're thinking about starting at 3. Mark. Yeah, we need you, because if Terry's still mad at Phil by then, he might not come.
We might not have a
I don't
vote.
blame them.
We have to do a vote, move on that day.
we should
We should.
on that day. Yeah.
And it is okay if
Otherwise, we're gonna be having a special meeting before the 16th, so that she can get it done and get it in the paper.
All right.
A lot to do.
I mean, as long as we're doing this to be on the safe side, guys, do we want to schedule more than one that we can always cancel?
Not a bad idea.
Schedule something for the 10th, just in case.
In the morning?
Can we just open the courthouse up? Well, then everybody's not here.
I'll sleep in by 12:30.
I have a
Well,
standing,
it doesn't work for him on the 10th.
Do you like that, Ashley?
well, I have a standing half an hour at 10:30 on Fridays.
What about Monday
But
afternoon?
like, I'm literally gonna be calling into whatever these meetings end up being. I'm gonna be remotely.
What about Monday afternoon, the 13th? Is there anything in here?
Can get your picture up.
Ad hoc construction at
You
3.
have to add your email or something,
Okay.
because your face doesn't show up.
Yeah,
I don't-
no, it's in the other one.
We-
That's the small conference and hot construction is.
Is there anything in
If
here?
Gary gets mad at me, I'm gonna tell him throw a dart at you.
Public trails.
Is
We move that one too if we need to. It's the
I
small.
just had a compromise thought. The
How can it go if there's already,
Economic-
ad hoc's already gonna be in the small con?
nonprofit.
Hot construction is at 3 in the small.
Well, Gary's on ad hoc. We can't have it at the same time or he won't be here.
That's
You know
10.
what I mean? Because if that is the future,
3 to 4:30, that one is.
I think, that ain't gonna work.
4:30 to
The guy could be, I
30.
think the job description says other duties as assigned.
How about the 14th? Is there anything in here in the afternoon of the 14th?
And
H
this is,
meeting and then zoning, land and zoning at,
What's that, Chris?
sorry, I was gonna say, this is the second meeting that we may not need, but this should probably only, we should only need it for an hour. So can we schedule something on Monday, the 13th for an hour? Is
That's the way we're
room-
working at, but all our meeting rooms are booked already.
Oh,
no,
okay.
you, LAC, you can have that.
Yeah,
But Terry already has a meeting Monday afternoon with another committee.
But that's okay. I don't have to be here for this one. And that's tentative. I
Right.
think they, depending on what happens at the county board on the,
So this is open the 13th at 3?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. As our backup plan.
then I won't be at this one because we ad hoc.
Well, it's a backup one. Hopefully we won't even need it.
There we go. It's in.
What is it, 13th at 3? Is the other backup?
October,
Bill, didn't you have somewhere to be at 5 o'clock?
Yeah. Well, I just gotta be to the fire hall.
the first one, Terry.
It's like,
Josh is gonna be.
What?
Josh is gonna be,
Finance.
Josh is gonna be.
Josh will be late.
The
Uh,
budget one.
Well, he's only a minute down. the road.
on the 9th.
They're like 5:02.
October 9th at 3. Then October 13th at 3. And then October 16th at 3.
No.
And then October 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th at 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so there is a October 9th at 3.
Yes.
And October,
13th is the backup. If we don't, we may have, hopefully we can cancel that and we're all just like ready.
We stalemate on something.
Instead of like stalemate, we're shaking dice. Resolve them.
Finance at 3.
We have like 3 motions that don't go through. It's just like, it fails for lack of majority, we're shaking dice.
All right,
I better be careful when I say this.
all right, so we got our next finance meeting date set and we got budget review meeting date set, all right? And everybody's good with them? All right, looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion from Mr. Undershoot, second. I'll second. All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Adjourned. Thanks, Chris.
thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Two.